Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
And hello, Allie.
Hi, Joe.
What's going on, kid? How you
Not
living?
much.
I can call you kid for 5 more years.
Do I really get it that long?
Yeah, you get it to 30 because I'm 53. I'm an old man.
I think
I can call you kid. I can call you kid into your late 30s.
Yeah, because you'll always be older than me.
Yes, always. You'll always be a kid.
I think kids should stop when I'm off my parents' insurance in September. And then you'll call me an adult and I'll break my arm and I'll be like, Joe, can you help?
I remember when I was a kid, when I was in my 20s, I would hear men that were in their late 30s and 40s calling their significant other their girlfriend. And I was like, that's a 39-year-old woman. That's not a girl.
Well, now everyone's doing the partner thing. I used to talk shit about it because I would have like straight friends who are like, this is my partner. And I'm like, it's your boyfriend. Yeah. But now I kind of like it because girlfriend, boyfriend, it sounds so corny. I actually got booed up, Joe.
You got booed up?
Yeah, I'm booed up.
What does that mean?
I got a boyfriend.
Oh, you got a boyfriend?
I have
That's
a boyfriend.
What booed up means?
Yeah, you're booed up.
Oh, where'd you meet this fella?
Tinder.
Really?
Yeah, I was trying to get an STD because I haven't had one yet. And and I found him and he's got nothing for me. He's clean as a whistle, but
damn.
I know. So
Were you hoping to get one of them curable ones or one of the ones you keep
If there's a
forever?
pill for it, I'm like, give it. Give it.
Like the clap?
Yeah, I'm on my insurance till September. I'm like, fuck it. Let's
Couple
try it
more
out.
months. Let's ride.
Yeah, the way you're trying to get COVID, I'm trying to get like chlamydia or something. I like chlamydia. It's hard to spell.
It's a weird one because I feel like you don't know you have it and then you give it to people and then everyone's mad at you. No,
it's the COVID of venereal diseases. You don't know you have it. I just found out that I had COVID here.
Yeah, we found out just an hour ago or 20 minutes ago. What's really crazy is that you didn't have any idea.
I had no idea. I mean,
Were you sick a little?
I was sick because I thought that I just had like a cold and I felt like really lethargic, but I'm a pretty lethargic person in general. So I'm like, is this normal lethargy or like for real? And so I was like laying in bed, you know, taking like Tylenol or whatever and just kind of like trying to ride it out. But I was going to a place. This is what I think is so flawed is because COVID was we found out so immediately. It was like, people were just coming out with testing centers that weren't fully prepared. And so I was going to this place in LA getting tested regularly and I was getting negatives every time. And then an article came out that specific testing center had a lot of false negatives.
Huh.
So I thought I didn't have it, but there was part of me that was like, this could be it, but I tested negative.
Why did that particular testing center have a lot of false negatives? I mean,
because the guy who it's called Curative Core, and the guy who started it, I guess, was like a tech dude in SF, and when COVID hit, he's like, here's a money opportunity for me. I'll just get a bunch of tests, make them happen quickly, and so he did that, and he made it happen, but there were a lot of false negatives reported.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder what he used,
I don't know.
for testing. That's
Yeah.
That's bad.
That's
That's
bad.
because you get false confidence.
Totally.
You know?
And that's the thing is I was like trying to, obviously when I got sick, I'm like, there's a chance that it could be COVID, so I'm not going to like be raging or anything when I'm not feeling good. And so I just laid low, but that would be such a fear for me is like going over to see my parents. Because there's this weird thing where like young people my age and like boomers my parents' age, they both kind of don't give a fuck about COVID, some of them. My parents care, but they're like, my sister, she doesn't want me talking about it. My sister didn't have COVID, but hypothetically if she did around Christmas time, she's going to be so mad, fuck.
Don't say it.
She didn't have COVID, but if she did, my mom was like, if you test positive before COVID, just wear a mask over to my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your mom's risky.
She's a little risky gal. That's where I get it from.
She's a risky lady.
Crazy ladies in the Macofsky home.
Yeah, it's that's the big fear. Like I'd heard about this one kid who was 21 who was out partying, wasn't paying any attention at all, and almost killed his dad.
Wow.
Yeah, he got it and barely knew he had it, and his dad got it real bad, and his dad was in the hospital, and it was just horrific, and they were just so worried that the kid was going to kill his dad, and he didn't. The dad did, not that he was going to kill his dad, COVID did. But I mean, if you're living with your parents and you're just out there getting buck wild and you're 21 years old.
When so many people were moving back in with their parents during this time because they're not making money, I was thinking about it. I stayed with my mom the first 2 months, and I was like, should I just live with her? But I can't do that. But
you want to still love her.
I want to love her. Yeah, I don't want to like wake up with my hand around her neck and I'll be like, how did I get here? Like a blackout rage.
Especially if you take Ambien.
I don't take Ambien.
Good for you. That's tough.
I watch reality shows.
Do a lot of that on Ambien. Like one guy, I think this was an Ambien thing. It might have been a sleepwalking thing. I'm pretty sure it was an Ambien thing. I think he drove to someone's house and murdered them and then came home and didn't know he did it. God, I'm trying to remember the specifics of the story because Kevin James, my friend Kevin, from King
of course I know Kevin,
hilarious comedian. He used to take the Ambien, and he had some experiences. One of them where he cooked dinner and didn't realize it, and he literally thought someone broke into his house and cooked.
He's like, dude, I hire a private chef.
You just forget, like big chunks. Okay, here it is. What is it? What was he saying here? A forensic psychologist and 2 psychiatrists were involved in the 2 cases discussed. So what are the cases? In at least 3 cases, a person with no apparent motive and no history of violence brutally murdered a spouse or close friend in the wee hours after taking more than the recommended dose of zolpidem.
I'm pretty sure the same thing.
Is that the same as Ambien?
I typed in Ambien murders, and this is what I got led to.
Zolpidem, along with other psychotropic medications. That's the thing with a lot of that stuff is if you combine them together, like maybe you could combine it together and you'd have no problem, but maybe if Jamie combined it together, he'd have a wildly different reaction and start murking people.
Jamie, let's test it out tonight. Go to 6th Street, walk around town, pop a couple Ams.
So tell me about this fella.
Oh my gosh.
How'd you meet? You met him on Tinder.
I met him on Tinder. Well, it's funny because last time I was on your podcast, I was talking about how I like a lanky, skinny boy who needs me to snuggle for body heat. That's my kind, like a breakable boy. And I found him. He's
a breakable boy?
6'3", small guy.
How much does he weigh?
Has a lot of shitty tattoos. We have that in common. I don't know how much he weighs. I was going to say 130, but that would be way off. He's like 170.
Oh, so he's a fairly sturdy fella.
He's sturdy
You're probably
enough.
not going to break him.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
How long you guys been together?
5 months, which is like 5 years in alley time.
In alley time, that's a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's when he's popping the ring.
I don't want to get married.
No, ever?
I don't know. Maybe at some point. I'm a slow and steady type of gal. I want to focus on myself. I don't want to like get distracted by like weddings and like dresses.
Especially
what's fucked up?
What's fucked up?
Okay, so here's the thing that I didn't know. So my mom allocated like a certain amount of money for me and my 2 sisters for when we get married, like, X amount of dollars for a wedding dress, And last year, I think like 2020, when I did my 2019 taxes or 2020 taxes or something, I didn't realize with comedy, you're supposed to be, I've always been like a W-2 employee. I've worked at food restaurants, like whatever.
Oh, you haven't been paying your taxes.
No, I have been. I'm very diligent. I'm diligent. But I didn't realize that like with comedy, it's all like 1099s. You're like a private contractor of whatever club you're at. And so I wasn't saving a portion of my comedy checks.
Yeah, you weren't paying your taxes. That's what I'm saying.
Well, this was the first year that I had 1099s.
Oh.
And so I didn't realize that I was supposed to be putting money away for taxes. So my mom's like, do you want to get married or do you want to pay your taxes? And so I was like, help me pay my taxes. And I learned my lesson the hard way. I was freaking out.
There was a bunch of guys in Boston that were like big time headliners that got paid in cash, and then
what a dream.
Yeah, and they like to do coke.
Sure.
And they were partying.
Sure.
And they didn't pay their taxes for like a decade, and they all got hit. And once the IRS hit one of them, then they realized all these other guys are doing the same thing. And so Boston had like these really big local headliners. It's a very rare place where they would have headliners that were local guys that could sell out every weekend in a row.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And people would come to see the same act over and over and over again. It was a very unusual place.
Yeah.
But these guys were going hard for more than a decade, 2 decades even. And then a lot of them got popped, and they owed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands in back taxes. And then you just saddled down by this debt, thinking about all those times you just blew it on golf clubs and
oh yeah, you
cars
rethink everything you've ever done. You're like, why did I get coffee ever? I can run on water. I don't need to go to Starbucks.
How much did you wind up owing?
I think I owed maybe around 8,000, which might seem like pennies.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's real money.
When you're like collecting unemployment for COVID and you're like, can I use unemployment to pay my tax? You know, like it was scary, and I did not want to like owe interest on it. So luckily my mom helped a lot, and I'm like so grateful for that, because it also like taught me, now I save a third every time I make money. I'm like, put that shit away.
I can't believe you didn't know. That's kind of crazy.
I know. Well, no one like tells you.
Young.
No one tells you when you get into, I just didn't know anything. Like I personally was so naive when I got into stand-up. I never thought about like all of the outside things that are involved in stand-up, you know? So I feel like I'm still learning.
Like what are the other outside things?
I feel like now with, I don't know, just like booking my own flights to get to shows, or like promoting my own shows and ticket sales, and I don't know, just all these like weird things that come up along the way. Like when I came to Texas, I'm like, am I supposed to rent a car? Do I fly to each place? Like where do I don't know. You
didn't know about all that? Because you were going with other people before.
Yeah, I'd go with Santino on the road, Tony, and so I just had to show up, be on time, bring a suitcase, have some underwear to change into. You know, that's pretty much all I had to do. And now I'm the dude trying to figure out all the plans.
Right, and now you're headlining.
Yeah.
And so you also have to deal with shitty middle acts.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Have you done Florida yet?
I love Florida. I have not done like an official headlining spot there.
I love Florida too. They have the worst acts ever to open for you. It's almost like they do it on purpose.
100%. My buddy Shaw lives out there. Worst dude I've ever seen. I love him.
Don't say that.
He's not. I'm giving him a hard time. He's great. I love him.
There's something about Florida road acts though, where you're just like, Jesus, like you can't listen. You have to hide.
That's the thing about like being in a major city like LA or New York, is you can be shitty in LA or New York. You know, there's plenty of people who suck at comedy in big places, you know.
Yeah.
But you're surrounded by people who are also very good. So you either grow out of that and like keep working and growing over time, or, you know, you don't get to see that as often and you kind of stay stuck. Yeah,
well, I think Miami has a community now. I was there a few years back and they were telling me that there's like a pretty decent community in Miami. I know Schultz is in Miami now and he's been doing a lot of gigs. I think it's just... cities need a scene, you know. If they don't have a scene, Austin has a very nice scene.
Yeah.
You know, like even though Cap City went under, there's still plenty. There's like a couple of new local clubs. There's this Sunset Strip Club. There's the Romo Room. There's Vulcan Gas Company. The Paramount is still doing shows.
I just saw Mark Norman last night.
He was there this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to his show. It was so funny.
Oh, he was there last night too?
Yeah, I think they added a show, so I went.
Shit.
Oh, it was so fun. Eddie Pepitone was just here. He was at the Creek in the Cave.
Yeah, that's the new one, right?
Yeah.
How many does that seat? Seats like 90 or something?
I don't know. It's pretty intimate because right now they just have the outdoor space. I think they're working on the indoor space.
Oh, they have an outdoor space. Oh, so it was an outdoor show.
It was an outdoor show.
The scene here is good. Like when we've done Kill Tony here, the local opening acts are very funny.
Yeah.
There's like a good amount of like real good talent in the city.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go tonight to Kill Tony.
Nice.
I'm excited.
And the music scene here is fucking incredible. There's so many good bands here. So many good musicians and artists. And it's a good scene. It's a good scene.
Do you think you're in a honeymoon phase right now?
No, I've been coming here since the 90s.
Yeah.
I've always loved Austin. I'm happy. COVID gave me a nice excuse.
Yeah.
It's just the lower population density is nice.
Because it's so big. It's so spread out.
Well, it's just the numbers of people here is so minor in comparison to LA. You know, it's not even close. And it is spread out, but it's just People are more chilled here. And there's the Hollywood influence. There's an artistic influence here as opposed to like I want to be famous influence.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like maybe with all the big comedians like yourself coming out here, it is kind of bringing.
We're gonna ruin it.
Yeah,
just say it. We're gonna ruin it.
You're not gonna ruin it, but there will be a time when people will think that this is a shortcut.
Oh. A shortcut. There's no shortcuts in comedy.
Exactly.
But you can't think that way. Well, first of all, comedy is one of the true meritocracies. Because if you don't do well, if the people don't laugh, it stops. There's a few people that are exceptions to that rule, that have figured out a way to carve their way deep into the pores like some sort of a strange parasite.
Yeah.
But for the most part.
Yeah, everyone's coming out here.
Not everyone.
Some people.
Some people went to Nashville.
Yeah, that's
Theo,
I've never been.
Burn, they went to Nashville. Nashville's great. And, they got that Zanies Club, which is one of the best clubs in the country. It's a great place to work out of. Yeah,
there's so many places I haven't been.
You never been to Nashville?
Never been to Nashville.
Bitch, I got to take you to Nashville.
Take me to Nashville. When are you doing a show out there?
Well, I had a show booked with Chappelle.
Oh, how have those been?
Fun.
I have so much FOMO.
Yeah, sorry
watching
about
everyone's stories out here. I'm just in bed eating hot Cheetos.
Hot Cheetos are fucking surprisingly good.
Oh, have you tried Takis?
No.
Oh, it's like I was like a loyal Hot Cheetos gal. Hot Cheetos are the best, and then I tried Takis, and I was like,
Taki? How do you spell it?
TAKI''S.
Oh.
And they have all these. There's like a blue one that's psycho. I haven't tried that, but it's almost like a Frito. Like a corn chip, but it's rolled up. It's a little roll, and then they have hot dust all over it.
Hot dust. Okay.
I don't know what the ingredient is for that, but it gets my butthole going every time.
Woo!
I love it. You need to wake up. You're just like throwing some Takis. Get set.
Yeah, they have ridiculous Tex-Mex out here. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's a weird combination of, Mexican food and whatever they're doing to it. They call it Tex-Mex.
Yeah, Texican, Mexican.
A lot of queso. Like queso, for whatever reason, I don't understand this. Never caught on outside of Texas.
Do you think it's because it's just not good enough? It's like one of those things where...
No, it's fucking amazing.
It's really good, I know.
Queso's amazing. It's delicious. Queso with chips.
Yeah, I don't know
so
why more
good.
people don't do it.
I don't know. It's like but I don't think it's a real cheese.
Is there a difference between queso and nachos?
Yeah.
Yeah, you fucking communist.
I'm asking.
Jesus
What is
Christ.
it? What is it?
Queso is a dip. Nachos is the stuff is on the outside. It's mostly cheese and sour cream and jalapenos and meat.
Okay, all right.
It's a totally different thing. Queso is like a bowl of it's like a liquid cheese. I don't think it's real cheese. I think it's like a Velveeta type deal.
For sure. Yeah.
It's probably super bad
But
for you.
It's just the cheese.
Yes, it's just the cheese, but sometimes it has meat in it.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Sometimes it has
like peppers.
Minced peppers.
Soda nachos though.
No, but it's a bowl. It's a bowl you dip into.
Okay,
so you would get with queso and chips, you get like a bowl of chips.
I've had it. I'm like, how is this not? This is just chips and cheese, though. I've had this everywhere.
So white.
Well,
so white.
From Ohio.
What do you think, Joe?
If you just Google, let's find out what are the ingredients of queso. Because I don't think it's cheese. I think it's like a Velveeta deal.
Sometimes you'll have bad queso and you're like, did you just heat up half and half? What is this?
There's a place out here that I need to go to that everybody talks about. It's called Matt's El Rancho. It's supposed to be the shit. Have you been?
So I've had their
How is it?
Chili con queso.
Is it the shit?
Very good, but I was like, this is just cheese and beef?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's chili con queso is like beef and the cheese. Queso is cheese in Mexican.
Ingredients of queso brings up chili con queso. That's why I said it. Mexican cheese dip.
Yeah, they do use some
chili pepper, tomatoes.
Velveeta.
Yeah, Velveeta I think is the main deal. And cream cheese.
Oh, I love cream cheese.
Cream cheese is pretty goddamn good. I wish bagels were good for you.
I know.
I wish they were. They make me it's like I got hit with a tranquilizer dart when I ate a bagel. Like,
you're out after that. Every Christmas, my dad does like a Jewish platter spread. So he'll make bagels, whitefish, cod, lox, and we just get this whole spread. And then I'm just like sitting on the couch in my Christmas PJs that are all matching with my siblings, just gassing it up. And then you're like opening presents and you're like, what is it? A gift card to Applebee's? Great, just what I wanted right now.
That's what you usually got?
No. I got some good stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, because I used to be such a brat. It's like embarrassing.
You used to be a brat?
I'm still kind of a brat. I'm growing out of it.
Really?
Yeah.
How come I don't see that side of you ever?
Because that's just my family. I feel like when you're with your family, it's like the child in you comes out.
Yeah, you revert. Do you ever feel like that? Well, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Long Beach.
When you go back to Long Beach, do you feel like whatever weird
Oh, it's
shit
weird.
you still have?
I still drive by my first boyfriend's house.
Oh, do you? Do you
Sometimes.
honk your horn? Fuck you!
Well, it's embarrassing because he lives in a cul-de-sac, so if he were to ever see me, he'd know that I was only there to, like, stop by his place.
I thought you were going to say he lives in a cult. You got to cult,
I don't know what he's up to now. He
Jesus,
might be.
What is this? Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Does he know what kind of car you drive?
Not anymore. When I first got a car, I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and now I've upgraded to a Kia Sportage 2018 used.
Woo!
Yeah, I don't want to flex too much on this podcast, but
when I used to go back to high school, like to where I went to high school with, I felt like a fucking tremendous loser. Like always, just being around it brought back the exact feelings that I felt like when I was in high school.
I sat in the bathroom at lunch in high school. And it wasn't like, it was this weird thing where I just felt different than everyone. Like, I wasn't bullied, really. I mean, I'm sure I had, like, the moments of, like, everyone hates me, they said this. But I wasn't, like, bullied in any way. But I just was, like, I was friends with everyone, but I didn't feel like I had a place.
You know, I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
I think more people feel that way than feel like they have a place. It's just this transitionary period when you're a teenager where everything feels off.
Well, and it's like in high school, everyone kind of has their groups. Like there's, you know, the jocks and the pretty girls and the athletes, whatever. And I just never felt like I really fit into a group. And so I would just sit alone in the bathroom, and I don't know. It's so weird looking back, and then how miserable I was in high school. I was like so depressed.
Yeah, my friends from high school all went to the other school on the other side of town. They went to Newton North. I went to Newton South. But my friends that I'm still friends with this day didn't even go to high school with me. They were on the other side. They were on the other side of town.
How'd you guys meet? Parties?
Just being around the same town. You know.
Yeah.
Newton's small. It's a small suburb of LA. I forgot how quaint it is.
Named after Wayne?
Yes.
Okay.
Named after
I love that dude.
Do you?
I love like Vegas hacks.
Darling.
Darling.
I remember the first time I heard that, I'm like, who is this girl that sings this song?
My sister did the same thing. She said,
Yeah.
guess who sings this? And I was like, obviously a young lady with a beautiful voice that came from Angels. And she was like, it's a dude who now looks like a lady.
Well, he has similar characteristics to older ladies in that he's working his face up.
I think I read something, though, that he has... Jamie, you know what I'm about to say. Pull it up, baby. There's something I think that he has.
Like a disease?
Something. I don't want to badmouth
he is
my hero.
Quite elderly.
Yeah, but I think he had... I don't know. Maybe I read it on some fake...
Do you know Robert Redford is almost 90?
He's alive?
Yes.
Wow. Good for him.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's almost 90. I saw something on something where they were like, Robert Redford.
He used to be a babe, from what I've heard.
Oh, yeah. It was
all the ladies used to pull their skirts up from their ankles when they saw him.
Back in the day?
Back in the day. They're like, I'll show you my ankles, Robbie.
They pulled their clogs off.
This is pretty good.
It's not right?
Yeah. I'm like a little nervous. My first CBD trip.
It doesn't do anything to you.
But then why do people do it? That's the thing.
Well, CBD is good for inflammation, and it helps some people with... If you have anxiety, it helps people sleep. It helps, but it helps with joint pain and inflammation.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
is a mild dose. These kill clips have 25 milligrams of CBD, which is not, fairly mild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like a couple hundred at a time, but I like on some days.
Do you ever shotgun them?
A couple hundred milligrams at a time. Like this, I get most of my CBD from actual supplements. What is that? Show me that again, Jamie.
It's just young Wayne. I can't find anything.
Wow.
Oh, maybe I made that up.
So see the picture of him in the middle?
Yeah, the middle top one.
See, that's not.
But I thought I read that there was like something. I don't know.
Well, he clearly had a little bit of plastic surgery, but that's the problem is that. That shit doesn't make you look good. It just makes you look different.
I'm gonna get jacked up on that.
On plastic surgery?
Oh yeah.
What do you think you're gonna do?
Tight.
Get a cat face?
Well, I got small little baby white girl lips.
And you want to get them plumped?
When I smile, my lip just plays hide and seek with me. It's like, where'd she go?
You ever use the filter on Snapchat?
Oh, it's dangerous.
Makes them giant.
The duck face filter?
Yeah, there's a filter that makes your lips fat and shiny.
And then it makes your cheeks all juicy.
Oh, does it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pumps the cheeks up.
Do you wish you had better lips? Maybe you wouldn't be as funny if you were hotter.
I know. I know. I know. It's hard. It's a hard balance. You don't want to be some, garbage troll.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to be too sexy.
Yeah,
I had a guy tell me after a show, he said, I don't get why you dress down on stage. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Wear a bikini on stage? Do you want to throw money at me? I'll take getting thrown money at, but...
I think men just try to find a way to criticize a girl, to put her on her heels, so that, like, you get a little defensive, and so you're not, you feel uncomfortable. So he probably feels uncomfortable, so he wants you to feel uncomfortable. So he says something like that, like, why don't you dress nicer? And you're like, oh, what? Why don't I dress nicer? So then you
I don't
get
give
defensive.
a fuck about what people say about how I dress.
Wow, look at you.
I mean, I probably do. I'm like crying at night. Why do you say I look like that?
But you know what it is? It's like, inside, that's probably the little psychological game he's playing. He probably doesn't feel comfortable with the fact that he's insecure around you. So, plus he sees you vaping. You look kind of cool. Blow it out. Show everybody. Yeah.
What's up, Post Malone?
Don't give a fuck about lung damage.
Yeah. It's so interesting because it's like I get objectified looking like, whatever he thinks I look like, a troll on stage, like, so if I'm trying to do it up and show off my body and like look really sexy on stage, that doesn't feel comfortable to me. I like wearing baggy pants. I like wearing baggy shirts. Like I just feel good when I just look like that. And so if I'm already getting objectified.
How are you getting objectified?
Just like DMs and comments and stuff.
Is that objectified or is it just being hit on? Because if it's a guy, are you being objectified? If girls send you DMs, are you being objectified?
I don't know about the ins and outs. That's just the word.
The problem that objectified is a weird thing because it's like this pejorative that always gets used, and I'm not always sure if it's the accurate thing to say. Because for sure, men do objectify women sometimes. Like some men look at a woman like, "Oh, I just want to stick it in a hole."
Well, that's what my messages are for sure.
I want to stick it in your hole.
Oh yeah, so yeah. Oh, yeah. I would love to show you my messages.
I'm sure some guys do that to, like, any girl they run into.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you think, though, that's, like, really dumb magic tricks? Like ooh, let me see if I can trick you. You're going to have, like, really sophisticated con artists like Bernie Madoff, and then you're going to have really bad magicians, right, that are doing obvious tricks. And it's like good comedy versus bad comedy. It's like a terrible movie versus a fucking amazing movie.
Yeah.
It's like everything else. There's levels to it. And what you're getting in those DMs is just the hit version, like hit on you version of like a really shitty song or a really shitty story that someone wrote. That's what you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel comfortable the way I look on stage.
Okay, we'll go back to your shoe. You just whatever you want to wear. That's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Don't think about it. Just be you.
Okay.
Fuck that dude.
Fuck that dude.
Fuck
no, he's a nice guy. He was drunk.
Maybe he's not.
He's a nice guy.
Maybe he just wants to stick it in your hole.
He does. He told me. That was revealed later on in the conversation.
It's got to be weird being a girl.
It is weird. It's fun though,
When girls go lesbian, I go, I get it. I get it.
I've tried.
Yeah.
I go through seasons of lesbianism. Every once in a while, I'm like, maybe.
Seasons.
I go through seasons, yeah.
Like baseball season?
I'm like, oh, it's fall. It's fall. I need a woman around.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I don't know. There's like a disconnect. I get really weird in intimate situations. So I'm like, am I gay or do I just like get uncomfortable around everyone?
Mm.
Also, when I was growing up, everyone would call me a lesbian. And so growing up, I was like, I'm a lesbian. Everyone already knows this. They've told me I'm a lesbian.
Who called you lesbian?
My sisters. They're like 7 and 5 years older than me. So
how did they say it?
Okay, so I had really hairy legs growing up because my dad's like Russian and, all that. So I just have like thick, dark leg hair that came in early. Ooh. And so my sisters are like, oh, back then everyone calls everything like gay and stuff. And they were like growing up and
back then you're fucking 12 years old. You're talking about a couple
weeks
like, ago.
I was in like 3rd grade. So I was like 6 or 7.
Okay.
And
you just didn't shave your legs?
No, because I was in the 3rd. Well,
when did kids shave their legs?
I started in 3rd grade because my sisters called me a lesbian and stuff. And
so
then,
you had to shave your legs?
Yeah, because I was like, they were making it sound like it was a bad thing.
To be a lesbian.
Yeah.
Mm.
My
So they
sisters
were-
are gonna fucking hate this. They're good people, but they were like, you know,
back then they weren't.
back
they've
then they
gotten
weren't.
better.
They've grown. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would just give you a hard time.
Yeah, they were just being big sisters, giving me a hard time, and so then I like took it very personally and seriously.
The leg hair thing is very strange. If you just stop and think about it, like guys don't have to do jack shit about their leg hair, and
No.
no one cares.
No one gives a fuck.
But girls,
And no one talks about guys.
look at this.
This is how you know I'm about to say some real shit. Guys always talk crap about girls not being kept up down there and shaved or whatever these guys my age are into. They want Mr. Clean down in the pants, you know, and like
They want your bush trimmed.
yeah, they want it. They want it bald. They want a bald eagle.
Okay.
But then they have the nastiest balls, and girls are like, "Oh, it'd be an honor to give you a blowjob." That shit's disgusting. It's different hair than your regular hair. It's thick. I didn't even know that balls change texture in different weather. It's
what?
yeah, like
What?
the skin,
Changes texture.
kind of. It's like it looks like an alien. It's so Jamie knows what I'm talking about. Jamie's giving me a
Jamie,
little.
do your balls change texture in different weather?
So
Jamie,
either.
stay on my
maybe
side.
that guy we saw with Tom Segura's had a little different texture, but
Oh yeah, that was rough.
it's a unique
The
situation.
guy with the giant balls.
I haven't seen this.
Just some sad thing with guys have. Some guy
Like
had,
elephantitis?
Yeah, he had. It's a not common, but common enough where there's multiple examples of it where guys have enormous like beach ball sized testicles, and they can barely get around.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a shame that there's no, you know, like when girls have giant tits, it's like, hell yes. There needs to be like a movement for men
With giant
who have
balls?
giant balls. Yeah, like Instagram photos of their balls on the beach. Like, nice
Now
day.
you don't understand how big these are.
Like massive.
Yeah, you can't walk.
What does he wear? Skirts?
Yeah, he has to wear like
Like
a
a
skirt.
kilt?
Yeah, and they have to cover. He has to cover his balls with like a tarp. And like while he was eating, his balls were out. And on YouTube, apparently, because it's like not sexy at all, you're allowed to show that guy's balls.
Well, they probably don't even register as balls for YouTube. Like whoever has to scan the videos is like, who's to say?
Well,
what
it's like a
this is?
medical condition more than it is balls. Whereas like if Jamie had his balls out of his pants,
He
like,
does.
my
Have you
friend-
looked over there?
My friend Tom, when we were kids, used to do this thing called sack walking.
You put them up above the belt.
No, he would open his zipper, pull his sack out, and tuck his cock would still be in his pants, but his balls would be out. He called
Yeah.
sack walking. He would just walk around, and at a party, he'd have a drink, his balls were out, he called sack walking. You know,
A little tougher with that.
that's that guy's balls.
Oh wow! See,
Yeah.
weird texture.
Well, when you see the actual texture, you can see the actual texture because in the YouTube video, they actually show the sack. They'll allow you to
There's some other
see.
things going on. There you go.
Yeah, see? Look at that.
Yum.
You're allowed to look at it.
Yum.
and-
Looks like a peach pit.
And this poor bastard actually has a 1-inch dick, too, which is just,
Is it actually 1 inch or in like?
that's what he says. He says it's
Relatively.
1 inch. He says he has a 1-inch penis. So Mother Nature just gave him the shittiest deck of cards ever.
Yeah.
Here's your hand. Good luck. Your hand of cards?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got a 1.
Do you ever watch My 600-Pound Life?
I've watched a little bit of it. Oh, I love it. Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I relate in some ways.
In what way?
Just
You're not
like-
600 pounds.
Just in the like compulsion and the feeling that food gives me. Like I went to Cracker Barrel for the first time.
Congratulations.
Have you been?
Of course I have.
It was so good. And they brought out this plate of biscuits and gravy and I was like blushing. Like I was like smirking and giddy and like so excited.
You were blushing.
I was blushing.
Okay.
And I just, yeah, when I have a plate in front of me, there's no part of my brain that goes, you've had enough. You don't need to finish all of this.
Of course, you got the baggy clothes too, so don't worry about it.
Exactly. I can walk out
Yeah.
unscathed. Be wheeled out soon. But yeah, I love those shows.
Why do you like those shows? Do you feel like maybe you're okay because they're more fucked up than you?
No, it's like a hand guide of what to do in 15 years. I'm like, okay, so get a partner who will wash under my boob crevice.
Oh, okay.
They always have very loyal partners.
You have to have
Which
if
is
you're gonna be
nice.
600 fucking pounds.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some weird codependency shit there.
Oh, 100%.
There was one story about this. I think it was a lady who had melted into the couch Like the fibers of her body had intertwined with the couch because she hadn't gotten off the couch in so long. And I don't know how she shit and pissed, but it probably wasn't nice.
I know at the beginning of COVID, I was like, I'm more worried about getting bed sores than COVID. I'm just lounging.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, when I was at my mom's house, I thought that I was hoping that it would be done sooner. So I was like, I'll just pretend I'm at Coachella. I was like tanning in the backyard, listening to EDM music, going crazy. And then once I realized that it was going to be longer, I was like, I got to get out of this lady's house.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was going to be a 2-week deal. Like they said, remember? We're just going to close everything down for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, California, a year later.
Yeah, I mean, if the U.S. was smaller, like a place like New Zealand, that could have, been helpful. But we're just too big. And
well, it's not just that it's smaller. New Zealand's completely isolated. New Zealand has very strict immigration policies. They're pretty, and the way they handle COVID, I mean, is super successful. There's only 4+ million people in the whole island. It's a fucking great place.
I know. I want to go so bad.
Escape. Good spot to run to.
When's the last time you've been?
Never been to New Zealand.
Do a tour out there. Bring me.
Do it. I'll fucking do it. I'll fucking do it. I've done Australia. I love Australia. But Australia is much different. Australia's New Zealand. There's a lot of New Zealand. It's just like rich and green and lush. And
have you seen Hunt for the Wilder People?
No.
Oh my! It's one of Taika Waititi's movies. Do you know the dude? He's now doing like the Avengers or Marvel or something.
No, I don't know who that is.
He did. Oh, he's great. I love him. But he has this movie called Hunt for the Wilder People. And when it came out, I was working at ArcLight, the movie theater at the time. And so I saw it in theaters like 5 times, but it all takes place in New Zealand. Oh, I love this movie so much.
So this is fiction?
It's fiction, yeah. Okay. That kid on the right is so funny.
Why have I not heard of this?
It's such a beautiful and funny movie.
Have you heard of it, Jamie?
No, about this. I believe he's the one who jumped on your side of the Apple keyboard debate a couple months ago. He wrote,
because I said that Apple keyboards suck?
Yeah, he did Jojo Rabbit, I think.
Yeah,
right?
He did Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. Who?
He's
the writer? The writer did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he did like what they do in the shadows.
They have the worst fucking keyboards of all time.
Wow.
The new one's terrible.
Why
I have
do you
that
think so?
2015 MacBook, the same one that you have there. It's vastly superior to type on.
I'm not getting rid of it. And it has a 256 gigabyte hard drive. Like
Yeah.
I can't really use it, but I can type on it really fast.
You can get them upgraded. There's a company that upgrades them. That's what I did. I bought one that's from I bought it like a year ago. From 2016, and they put a new processor in it. They put a new solid-state hard drive in it, and it has the 2015 keyboard. I don't know why these dummies just keep making these things that are shit to type on, and then they appeal to creative people. Everything is about design. They want the sleekest, thinnest. But meanwhile, Lenovo has figured it out. They have their ThinkPad X1 Carbon. They have this really light, and they have a new one that's even smaller. It's like the Nano or something like that. With a great fucking keyboard, and it weighs nothing, and it's this tiny, thin little thing, and it's super easy to type on. And each key is curved, so your fingers like fit in it much easier. And where Apple wants flat keyboards, it's like it makes you so much less accurate. It's just a shit experience to type on.
I got a MacBook for Christmas this past year. I cried. I was so happy, and then I opened the camera to do like, zooms and stuff. And the camera quality on my college MacBook from 2013 is so much better than the new MacBooks.
What?
Yeah, it looks blurry. It looks like I'm in an ISIS hostage video. It has nothing to do with the cleanliness.
What?
Yeah.
Did you take the sticker off?
Yeah. Okay. Everything's off. It's not me, I swear.
I think you got a dud, because that's one thing they're really good at. The camera quality is excellent.
My camera quality is awful.
It's a new one?
It's a brand new one.
It's probably broken. Right? Am I right?
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
What's the dude named? Tim? What's his name?
Tim Cook?
Tim Cook?
Yeah.
Tim Apple?
Tim Apple. Tim Apple.
That's what Trump called him.
Tim Apple?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I've used mine for Zooms and shit. I bought a 2000.
You doing Zoom comedy shows, Joe?
No, to talk to people. Just to talk to people. You didn't do any of those, did you?
Yeah, of course I did, Joe. We're at different levels, man. I gotta stay alive.
Just fucking go out in the street and just start talking to people.
Yeah.
You'd be better off.
I know. I did.
Hey, let me tell you about my day.
Hey, you want to hear about my pussy? They're like, we're trying to get coffee. I'm like, I gotta perform. I gotta tell these to someone.
But it is weird that guys don't have to shave their legs, right? Where do you think that came from? When did girls start shaving their legs? What year do you think? When did the deception begin? When did they decide? What do you think is happening? What you think people are just trying to become more sleek and less alien?
I'm pretty sure guys just want dolphins.
Less animal, rather.
I think guys want dolphins, just soft little mammals.
No, that's not what it is.
They want something. I don't know.
They want like a person. They want like smooth, soft skin without the hair for whatever reason. But men, it's okay to be hairy because it's okay for a guy to be a beast, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not okay for like women are supposed. What is that? Like, why the disparity?
Misogyny?
I don't think it's that, because misogyny, that means hate. That means,
does it?
Yes, misogyny means like you don't like women.
But maybe it's like
that.
Maybe you know how like gay dudes before they come out or when they come out, there's like internalized homophobia that it's not like they hate gay people, but because they grew up in a society where it's not as common or acceptable or whatever, or your sisters bully you because they think you're a lesbian when you're like 7. It's like not things that people think are hateful, but like just this subconscious like, I'm a man, I have hair, that's what's strong. Women, they're supposed to be soft and perfect and in the image of what I want them to be. It could just be like internalized.
Yeah, but women love it too. It's very rare that women fight that.
I think, I grew out my armpit hair for a little bit during COVID.
Is that during the lesbian period?
It was a lesbian, yeah,
You're
patch.
allowed, right?
Yeah. And I enjoyed it, but then I get self-conscious because I'm like, if dudes look at this, they're going to think I'm like dirty or like manly or something.
Right, but a guy with armpit hair, no problem at all.
No problem. And it gets all, the guys, the deodorant gets all stuck on the armpit hair. Guys should start waxing.
It is
Would you do
weird
it?
that it's, no. It's weird that it's universal. That's
See,
what's
why
weird.
not?
Why not what?
Why wouldn't you wax?
Because I don't want to.
Okay.
Why would I? Lived 53 fucking years without waxing my armpits. Why start now? Who the
It
fuck
hurts.
am I trying to impress? I'm sure it does. Do you wax your armpits? Is that what you're saying?
I did it for the first time because normally I just shave. And
why'd you stop shaving them?
because I have a friend in Arizona who waxes, so I was like, I was growing them out. I was like, might as well, And it hurt way worse than like getting a coochie wax.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So your armpit's more sensitive than your cooter?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Nuh-uh. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but it hurt.
Quick research says this is marketing from the early 1900s. It didn't even happen really before that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's when they started shaving the leg?
They had liquid stockings, they were calling it back in the like 1920s and 30s and 40s.
Liquid stock? Well, they did a lot of terrible shit to women back then. That's when, you remember that, the radioactive paint?
Mm-hmm.
What is that called again? Where girls would, they were working on like watches and all sorts of different things that had radio something. And it would literally, they didn't know what the effects were of the stuff at the time. And it was literally rotting through people's faces, and girls. Radium, that's right. And they had like holes. It's horrific. It is so sad because their job was to use this paint and use it for clocks, and like the early watches, like some watches, like the hour indicators have lume on them. Yeah. So in the daytime, it charges up, and then at nighttime they glow like that.
I like those.
Well,
those are cool.
But that's the original. It was radium, and these girls were working with this very closely to paint these watches, and they would lick the brush and dip it in there, so they're getting this stuff, and their tongues would rot off. They would get holes in their faces. They couldn't figure out what was causing it. It took a long time for them to realize.
So the effects weren't happening right away.
Right, because it's radiation poisoning. So this stuff, radium, is radioactive, which is why it glows in the dark.
Damn.
Yeah. And then there's some stuff they use now. The radium girls were factory workers who died of radiation poisoning, painting which objects with radioactive paint. Why is it a question?
What is watches?
Yeah, it was. So these poor ladies, if you see the girls with look at that one, she's got this giant fucking growth in the bottom of her face. If you go to radium girls' injuries or tumors, or it's horrific. Scroll down. I'm sure they have some images of it. It's really sad, though. Really sad, because this had never happened before, and I think there was the 1920s. Yeah.
So is that like the job when the men were at war, women were making watches?
Well, was that World War One? When did World War One end?
Yeah, somewhere around the four. I just listened to Smedley Butler's book yesterday, so he's talking about all this, like how
war's a racket.
And right after the big war, the Great War, to end all wars, profits for a lot of these companies skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Metal, leather, paint for watches. Everything.
Smedley Butler, I think he wrote that in the 30s. War is just a racket.
I like that name.
You should read that book. It's terrifying, because it just shows you that this guy who was a loyal Marine and a soldier, and who had, been to war, and had realized later in his life that he had risked his life for bankers and to make industry available in certain countries, and that he had been lied to. And he wrote a book called War is Just a Racket. And it's an amazing book, because if you look at what he wrote in I want to say it's 37. When did that come out?
35.
35. If you look at what he wrote in 1935, it's applicable today all around the world. Like what this guy was trying to expose about the real motivations, why politicians lead soldiers into war. Very little of it is about your safety and your health. I mean, occasionally it is, like World War II. Which is kind of ironic, because World War II is right after he wrote this, whereas a war, well, we actually really did need to stop Hitler. But this guy wrote this book, and it just shows how many military actions are not just unnecessary, but deceptive.
Yeah.
And this guy realized it like later in his life. He's a fucking, wasn't he 3-star general or something like that?
Retired Marine, 2-time Medal of Honor recipient.
Yeah. So he was a decorated soldier, and as he was an old man, he was like, Jesus Christ, what have I done?
That's crazy to do something thinking that.
Well, what's really crazy is that no one else did it, and that he was really like the first person to publish something that became, a popular piece of work, where the average person like myself or you, who doesn't really know that much about war, could read about it and go, holy shit. Like, this is what was really going on, that they were just making things safe for bankers, or they're clearing, a way to get to natural resources.
I think that's why there's so much, like, distrust in government and stuff now, because there's so many things that we realize later on, like, why was that so necessary?
Well, not only that. I mean, you're seeing it with this administration, where they're doing the same things that Trump was doing. They're just pretending they're not.
They're just wearing cute jackets.
Well, it's just the same fucking thing. Like what they're doing, like the whole thing was like the kids at the border. We gotta stop these families at the border, this detention at the border, putting people in cages. They're doing the same fucking thing. And then Ted Cruz went down there to try to film it, and they were asking him to stop filming. Like this Biden employee's like, stop filming, sir, please. Have some respect. He's like, this is like, you can't just make rules like that we can't film now. And that's how you're going to stop people from talking about this, that nothing's changed. Because they were pretending that Trump was doing this and that it was all Trump's fault. Well, no, it's the border is crazy and porous, and now that Trump's not in office, they think it's more friendly because Biden's there, so more people are coming through. And they have a lot of them have Biden T-shirts on. Have you seen that?
No.
Where they get detained? Yeah, like dozens and dozens.
Like they're going
to
a Biden concert.
Like they're going
to
a Biden rally.
We bought the merch. We love you.
Yes, exactly.
Help us.
You never seen it? You should see it. It's crazy. So they're coming to the border wall with Biden shirts on. And so they've resumed construction of the border wall. I don't know if you know that. So this this administration was like, we're not going to do what the past administration did. Like, yeah, you are.
But is this wall going to be huge? Huge?
Is it going to be the same wall? Look at this.
Please let us in.
Yeah. Biden, please let us in. Look at this.
Whoa.
Like, who's giving them those fucking shirts? Probably the cartel. Mm-hmm. They probably all have a pound of coke in their ass. Weird, right?
Yeah.
It's just a weird, and you know what's even weirder? I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's much more knowledgeable about this. He goes, listen, man. He goes, at the bottom of Mexico, those other South American countries, they're trying to get into Mexico, and the Mexicans don't want them coming into Mexico. And then you got Mexicans that are trying to get into America, and there's Americans that don't want them in America. Like, it's like they're doing it too. Like, it goes if you go down to Honduras and Mexico, they're like, hey, we have enough. Like, they're literally, it's happening every step of the way up to America.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know much about that stuff.
You don't pay attention to that shit?
Well, I just feel like it becomes too, like sided. Like, where it's scary to talk about politics because it can become so, like, if you say one thing that's not with, some sort of, like, if it's not in an infographic on Instagram, then it's wrong, and it's all very, like, this way or that way. So I try and stay somewhat informed, but it just feels very exhausting nowadays.
What do you mean by if it's on an infographic? What do you mean?
Like, I'm on very, like, super hyper woke Instagram,
You are?
A lot of my friends post a lot of, like, woke shit, which,
Do you yell at them for that?
I scroll past it. I read it. It's got shiny letters and a nice font. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty. But it's very, like, extreme where it's like, you're either all in or you're all out. And I'm like,
it's a bunch of people trying to control people. That's what it is mostly.
Totally.
Like, the idea is wonderful that we should all be inclusive and nice and kind and caring. And I agree to that wholeheartedly. But a lot of people use woke ideology as an excuse to be an asshole to people who don't think the way you think. So you have, like, a lot of really aggressive, shitty guys that jump on the woke movement and use it as an excuse to vent out their cuntiness on other people. And it's usually they're usually not very successful. They usually have terrible relationships. They're like really volatile, angry people. And they've found the wokeness as like a path to righteousness. Like, this is the way they can feel good about screaming at people. So they'll scream about people and call them racist or homophobic or transphobic or whatever it is, whatever phobia or ist they can figure out a way to call you. And that's their legitimate
like badge
outlet.
of honor.
But it's a legitimate outlet for their shittiness. It's like they found instead of like going, is this really what's going on here? Like, maybe I should look at this open-mindedly. Maybe I should be objective and compassionate. Maybe I should just really actually try to spread kindness. Just try to be a nice person. Nope, that's not what it is. What wokeness is like any other cult. It's any other ideology. Like, it comes along, and then there's a lot of good intentions. There's a lot of good thoughts behind it, but then a bunch of assholes adopt it, and those assholes use it for their own betterment.
Yeah, and it's a lot of, like, a different end of the same token, where it's like it's kind of the same rhetoric and way of going about things as people who are on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, who are very hateful. It's very much, it's funny because they're preaching acceptance and then canceling people for anything they can think of. And it's
real
just,
or imagined,
which is scary because I want to be a good person, and then it's like hard because I'm like, am I being the right kind of good person for these people? Well,
you are for now, but the problem is 5 years from now it could be radically different, and then you can get canceled for some shit you said now when it was acceptable. Like, we all are kind of following a hive mind, right? And there's extremes on the right and there's extremes on the left. But when you get to the really radical, shitty people on the right or the really radical, shitty people on the left, what they share in common is their adherence to a pattern. And the pattern doesn't have to be logical. It's just very tribal. Like, whoever's on that other side is a piece of shit. And they'll find reasons why that person's a piece of shit. Whether it's a person who's a left-wing person, that lefty, communist, Marxist, socialist piece of shit, they want to fucking ruin this country and this, or they go the other way. They're on the left, and they'll find reasons why people on the right are racist, sexist, homophobic, and this and that, and they'll scream out Black Lives Matter at the top of their lungs. And what are they really doing? What they're really doing is they're adhering to an ideology, and they're rigidly doing it, and they're using it as a portal to channel their cuntiness. And they're both sides, left and right. They're the same kind of people. They just picked a team.
It's hard because there's no room when that's your whole thing, is being super one-sided either way. It leaves no room for growth or change.
They're not trying to grow and change.
Exactly.
They're just trying to get their rocks off.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird time because of the social media movement, because so many people are communicating online, these weird little like clips of, of text, weird little blurbs, and they're just waiting to see how people respond to those blurbs. So it's like the shittiest way of communicating is not just in writing, but in little tiny writing, little tiny, 140, 280 character bursts. It's like the worst way to communicate. In little bursts of text, because so much is missing. It's not even like a long article. Even articles are kind of a shitty way of communicating, because you get to write it without anybody going, well, that's not true because this, and that's not true because of that. And the reason why you're saying that is, well, what about your own thing? And are you looking at it because of your biases? Or, there's no back and forth, which is the way humans are really supposed to express themselves.
Yeah, and there's no room for nuance. Everything can be very black and white, and there's no room for gray area of like, yeah, I mean this. This is what I'm saying. I mean it, but I mean it in the context of this. Everything can be taken out of context, which is, hard, and people hold you to your words and what you say and don't let you form new opinions or beliefs based on what you've learned later on. Or
because they're not trying to find out what you really think. They're just trying to catch you. They're just trying to play gotcha. They're just trying to say, oh, Allie, you said this one. You called yourself a dyke one time. Well, that's fucked up. You're a fucking, and then they get mad at you, and you're like, hey, I was joking.
It was September. It was the season for me to be
season.
A dyke. Yeah.
Yeah. I spell it with a Y. It's fine.
I put an X in there somewhere, so it's inclusive.
I was talking to this lady. Her name was Karen. I said, does all this Karen shit bother you? She goes, no, I spell it different.
With a
I
C?
go, what the fuck does that mean? No, it's Karyn, she said. I go, listen, nobody knows how the fuck you spell it.
You're not wearing a name badge.
They call it Karen. You're being a Karen. They don't say, oh, you're being a Karen. You're not being a Karyn. Those women are amazing.
Yeah, what a tough time for Karens.
It's a terrible time for Karens.
But there are a lot of them.
Well, which kind? You mean the cunty kind, or like a woman?
The ones with the E.
Just named Karen.
The cunty kind.
Well,
I'm sure there's sweet Karens.
We need one for men. It's like
Chad.
But that's not right. There's a lot of Chads, like really good guys. The guy who was the director of John Wick. I can never say his last name because it's a complicated last name. How do you say his last name? Chesleski. How do you say it?
Is he Russian? Polish?
It's a good question.
Probably Russian.
It's a complicated name though.
You did the 23andMe thing, right?
Zaleski. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell of a director. Strange name. But he's a Chad. He's a good Chad. There's a lot of Chads that are good.
Yeah.
Chad Ward, my friend, he's a barbecue chef.
Is he out here?
Guy. No, he is. Where the fuck is Chad?
Do you go out a lot over here? Like,
I do.
Are you able to go out and just enjoy yourself?
I just live my life.
Okay,
Young
good.
Allie Macofsky.
I don't know what your life looks like.
It's a little odd, but yeah, I just live my life. Yeah.
That's cool.
People are cool here.
Yeah, they are. They're very cool. That's what I like. It's fun out here because you'll just see the most random group of people hanging out. It feels like what we were just talking about. Like people just, it's a very social town and everyone's kind of buddies with each other. And there's a feeling like that you're home even if you've never been here.
Yeah. What did Matthew McConaughey say?
All right,
the way he described it? No, he said, he goes, no one here is too good and everyone's good enough.
I love that.
That's such a Matthew McConaughey
I love
thing
Maddie.
to say.
Maddie Mac.
That's such a Matthew McConaughey thing to say. He'll be president someday.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't come along and trip him.
He's so cool. I want to read his book.
Well, then read it.
My boyfriend has it.
If you want to read it, why don't you read it?
I'm going to.
Why don't you steal it from your boyfriend? Say, if you love me, you'll give me the book.
Give me the book, bitch.
Do you guys
You're
say
not
love?
reading it.
Do you say you
I said it.
Woo! Why do you say it like that with a grimace?
Because it's just scary.
Ooh. Yeah. But that's the only way to find out if he loves you back or if he's a liar.
He's a sweetie. He's a sweetie.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about like famous people becoming president like that?
I think anything is possible nowadays. People are willing to vote anyone in.
They've been willing to vote anyone in for a long time. It's just people haven't done it other than Reagan.
Was Reagan voted in?
What did you think? How did you think he became president?
Well, no, I mean
Jesus Christ.
no.
What kind of conversation we have
I'm
here?
not that dumb. I'm pretty dumb, but I'm not that dumb. I mean, like, was it like the way that Kanye wasn't on the ballot in most places?
No, Reagan was the governor of California, and then he became the president of the United States.
But he
my
ran
God.
for president, right?
Reagan was the fucking president for 2 terms.
I know that he was the
What do
president.
you mean by he ran for president? That's how you become president.
No, but you know how some people get voted in, like they're not on
Do
the
you want me to
ballot. You have to
forget we
write.
talked about this?
We can
We'll
edit
just
it
cut
out.
this
We can edit it out.
No, he was actually on the ballot.
Yeah,
he was
okay.
the governor.
I thought you meant
of
he was.
California.
I thought you meant that people wrote his name because they loved him so much as governor.
No, what I meant is that he was an actor.
Yes.
And a famous guy.
Westerns,
who became, he did a lot of movies. Like one of his famous ones, like he did a movie with a chimp in like the 1950s, like Bedtime for Bonzo or Bongo. Yeah, it was like him and a chimp were like palling around together.
Bonzo. 1951.
Yeah. Yeah, Reagan was like a young, sort of like Dragnet style heartthrob.
Yeah, but I
back
feel
in the day.
I feel like nowadays people would vote for Bonzo to be president. You know?
Probably for fun.
100%.
Let's see.
I
Let's
think
see how the
after
chimp
that
does it.
Harambe, didn't people vote in for Harambe the year that there was that
See how little that chimp is?
incident?
That's 'cause
Chimps
it's a
are so
baby.
cute. Have you ever held one?
Yeah. But you have to, the only way they'll work with someone like that, they have to be babies. You can't have a grown chimp. Grown chimps will just beat the shit out of you. We were on the set of News Radio, and they had a baby chimp like that, and it was a baby. It was like had a diaper on and everything, and it climbed on me like I was holding it, and it climbed on my back and went, just beat me in the back, and I was like, holy shit. Like a tiny little thing, you know, like probably 30, 40 pounds. I couldn't believe how hard it was hitting me. I was like, fuck.
That's crazy.
And they feel different. They feel like they're made out of this table. Like their muscles. Like if it's like you when you touch them, you go like, oh, I'm like a fucking water balloon compared to that. Like your body is so mushy and soft compared to a chimp.
Yeah.
They're real weird feeling.
I like chimps and stuff.
There's this viral video.
Oh,
of a
it's
chimp
cute.
helping this guy up on the
Yeah,
roof,
it's
but
adorable. Look at this.
It
Look at its
barely has to try.
eyes.
Yeah, it just hoists him up.
Oh wow.
Look at that. And then watch this fist bump at the end. He goes, fist
Stop.
bump. How cool is
Oh,
that?
that's so cute.
That's pretty dope. Now it's a grown chimp.
Yeah.
Must have a good relationship with it.
Oh. You know what animal I love?
What?
Goats.
Why do you love goats?
I want a goat. I want to get, when I make it, I want a backyard and I want to have a goat.
Wow.
They're so cute and they're
That's your thing,
friendly
huh?
and they just hang out.
You want a backyard and a goat.
Yep. That's what I want.
There's a coffee place down here called Civil Goat. Is that what it's called? Yeah. And there's a goat that hangs out on the porch and it'll walk up to you and just kind of fucking headbutt you.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. The goat will walk up to you and like butt you in the legs and you're like, hey buddy, how you doing? But he's not being an asshole. It's just kind of like that's what they do. They just run into things with their head.
Yeah.
And you kind of rub his head.
They're
And
adorable.
he hangs out, and they like don't let the goat inside because if you let the goat inside, they'll just like fucking
Jump
eat
on
everybody's
everything.
food.
Yeah, you paper, napkins, all
Yeah.
of it.
They're odd animals.
Yeah.
I knew a dude who had some goats, and he got goats for his backyard in Topanga, and they had like this big piece of land, and they said, oh, you know what we'll do? We'll get the goats, and the goats will clean all the brush. Well, the goats fucking ate everything. So they're like, we got to get rid of these fucking goats. So these crazy assholes just took the goats and just dropped them off on the side somewhere. And then people knew that they had goats. So people started asking around, like, did somebody let their fucking goats just loose in Topanga? And then they contacted them and said, hey, asshole, come get your goats.
That's so messed up. Just loose goats in Topanga?
Well, the way I think the way they thought of it was like the goats will most certainly be able to feed themselves because they just eat whatever. They eat brush.
Yeah.
And if they get hit by a car, they're not really into those goats anyway, which is sad.
That is sad. I would hate to see that. Have you ever like ran into an animal like driving?
Squirrel, nothing big.
Did you feel bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw him in the back, like as you passed, you see him bucking and twisting. I've never hit a deer though, knock on wood, because I've seen a lot of them, especially out here.
That can be
There's
super
a lot of 'em.
dangerous, right?
Oh yeah, my friend Cam, a guy in his town died because he didn't hit the deer. The guy in front of him hit the deer. This is what's crazy. The guy in front of him hit the deer. The deer went up in the air, and his car was driving behind the car, and the deer went through his windshield and killed him. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Death by deer.
when death decides it's your time, the way you die can be just the most fucked up way. Imagine you're just driving home, just went out to get a half-gallon of orange juice or whatever, and
It's always so heartbreaking, like just unexpected ones like that.
Yeah.
Ugh. It makes me so sad.
people die from that all the time. They die from I've seen some crazy pictures online too of what happens when someone hits a car with a deer, where the deer goes through the windshield and the inside of the car is just a Jackson Pollock splatter painting of guts and blood. Because when they hit the car, their body's falling apart, and then they go through the windshield and everything just bursts, and the inside of the car was just all just guts and meat.
Speaking of, I had my first deer.
Oh, you ate your first
I
deer?
ate my first deer.
Out here?
No, at home, my cousin Johnny and his brother Michael, they go shooting or archerying.
Archery? They do bow and arrow?
Yeah, they do bow and arrow.
Yeah, where at? Where'd they
I think
go?
in like Arizona, like Flagstaff or
okay.
something like that.
How was it?
Gamey.
Oh, they probably didn't take care of it right.
I mean,
You
they
didn't like it?
It's just like when you're not used to tasting something like that, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like I imagine if I was like back in the olden days and I was like, venison me up, it would have been great. But
Well, a lot of it is how the meat is prepared and how it's kept after you kill the animal, because you got to keep it cool.
they have it in like a freezer.
That's not what I mean. I mean, once you kill the animal, like from then on, you have to cool it off as quickly as possible. And if you don't do that, it can kind of spoil the meat and get a weird taste to it. And there's also a gland in the animal's legs called the tarsal gland. And if that gland gets cut or nicked during the butchering process, then that can get in the meat and that'll fuck the meat up. But for the most part, I think a lot of it is when guys get the animal, they don't cool it off quick enough. You don't have either ice ready right away, or you don't know how to hang it to get air around it. There's a lot you have to do to make sure that the animal doesn't spoil.
Yeah, we had like a flank, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess there's like a local butcher who like makes it into sausages and kind of adds some other meats to it.
Usually they add fat,
Yeah.
pork fat.
And that was really good. Like the sausage was really good. But yeah, it was just a totally different taste that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what they did. Maybe they didn't cook it right, or maybe they didn't prepare it right, or maybe they didn't take care of it right.
My dad prepared it, and he's normally like a grill boss, but that was his first time.
It's a little trickier than regular meat because you have to be real careful with the temperature. Usually you should use a thermometer, because you don't want it to overcook because it's very lean. It's not like a steak. You could judge a steak, like a beef steak, much easier because there's a lot of fat in it.
Yeah.
Like if you're eating venison, it's a very lean animal.
We were definitely eyeballing it.
Eyeballing? Oh, trying to guess it?
Yeah.
If your dad's never done it before, has he ever cooked that before?
No, never.
Yeah, you got to read.
We didn't know what to do. We kind of surprised him with it. We're like, want to eat deer?
Yeah.
He was game.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta read up on it. Do you cook at all? Are you cooking?
I'm trying to cook more, yeah, but I moved into a studio and I have to cook on a hot plate, so it feels like I'm camping all the time because I don't have like a stove. So I use a hot plate, so I can only cook like one thing at a time.
So what do you cook?
I cook like breakfast. I'll make like bacon, eggs, all that stuff, and then I'll make rice. I want to start making more like vegetables, like
Trying to be healthy?
Trying, yeah. Luckily, I'm staying with my friends out here, and they eat super healthy, so that's felt good. But right after this, I'm going
Texas,
on a meat tour, yeah.
Who do you know out here?
My friend Julia and Jake. They're super sweet. It's funny because I met Julia through my Patreon. She was like, follow me on Patreon. And
I didn't know you had a Patreon.
yeah, I have a
You don't
small
have an OnlyFans,
intimate.
do you?
No,
You show your
Patreon's
hairy
the
legs?
closest I'll get. Patreon is the closest I'll get.
How many gals have turned to OnlyFans during the pandemic?
So many.
Quite a few have shown
I
their
thought about
tits.
it a couple times. I was like, how do I
How does that work, though?
This?
Because, like, someone can always, they save those pictures. Right?
I know. That's why I would never do it.
Yeah.
If it was, like, top secret and, you know, it was just between.
Here's my pussy.
Yeah, here you go. Don't tell anyone.
Shh. Yeah, it's a weird thing, right?
And also, I'm too sensitive. If I like posted, I have an OnlyFans now, and like 2 people joined, one of them being my mom because she's supportive, I'd be like, this hurts.
I know this lady that started an OnlyFans. I don't know if she was doing it for money or just desperate or just wanted to do it. I don't know, but she got all this hate. It was really interesting to see, and even from her own family, like people furious at her for showing her tits.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
If you have good tits and you don't mind showing them.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, why is everybody mad? It's one thing. It's if your wife starts showing her pussy, you're like, hey,
that's mine.
yeah, hey,
I have a ring saying,
hey,
that's our pussy.
cut it out.
Yeah.
But if it's your sister or something like that, like, I don't think you're allowed to say anything. You can't get mad at her. You know, like I don't understand the getting mad part. What are you mad at?
Yeah, I think it's a great way for people to make money if they can. It's saturated, so it's hard. You have to really like hustle. Like that becomes your business.
This girl who works for Brendan Schaub makes like $100,000 a month showing her feet. Yeah.
I need
She's
to
got
really
a foot porn thing.
There's no more.
All of a sudden, Jamie chimes in. Weird, huh?
I was waiting for an end.
Jamie, you a feet
There's
guy?
no more like, hey, she's doing Playboy. Did you hear she's doing Playboy? You know, like
Is there Playboy anymore? Is that
there's
real?
not even an option for it. So maybe like
There's
OnlyFans
Playboy, but
is-
they're like mostly doing articles and like nice photo shoots. There's not really much.
That used to be a big thing. They'd like make a big, huge offer, you know, and then like someone,
Right,
$1
like
million
a
to
famous
show their
person
tits.
would show their tits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Like, didn't Demi Moore do it? And
Yeah,
just
and
a bunch
Kim,
of like,
Kim Kardashian.
yeah, like actresses and famous people. Like, if Playboy was classy, like, oh, she's in Playboy. Ooh.
It was a big deal.
A big girl, a famous girl in wrestling did it. Sable, when I was younger.
She's married to Brock Lesnar.
Huge, like, that's a huge deal.
Huge.
But I was like, that couldn't be a
Huge.
thing now. She just do OnlyFans and make
Yeah.
$1 million really quick.
Well, that's the thing is these gals are make like that bad Barbie girl.
Bad baby.
Whatever it is.
Oh.
How do you say it?
Bad baby.
Is it baby? It's not bad Barbie?
Nope, bad baby.
yeah.
She spells it with an H after
The
the
Cash
B's.
Me Outside girl.
Cash me outside.
Yeah.
How about that?
How about that? That girl made $1 million in 6 hours.
She claims. That's why I've heard
Why
she
you
claims.
calling her a liar?
It sounds
Jamie's
like some
just so
people are
rude.
very cynical about it. Like she's claiming she made that, but like a lot of other girls who are on there will show their
Receipts. Yeah.
Like here, it says I'm the top 0.001%.
That's weird too. Showing your receipts. Like I would feel like if you did that, people would stop giving you money.
I know.
should
You have to
probably
be
keep
like,
your
I'm
mouth
not
shut."
making too much. It's a small group.
Keep it down.
I
Or maybe they want to contribute to it because it's exciting because your girl is number one, right? Like maybe there's
It's
a
like
lot
rooting
of
for
those
a
kind.
team in the NFL.
Yeah.
You're like, go
Yeah.
bad baby.
Yeah, if you only got to give her $10 a month or whatever it is.
I subscribe to an OnlyFans.
Do you?
I do.
Is it a boy?
I know it's a lady.
Oh.
Yeah.
What does she show?
Oh, she shows everything.
What OnlyFans
She's a
is this?
savage. Her name's Trisha Paytas.
And what does she do in her OnlyFans?
jeez.
Do you know who she is? Do you know who she is, Jamie?
Unfortunately, I do.
Do you
because
follow
I
her too?
I don't follow her, but I follow the internet, so I know who this person is.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
She's an internet sleuth. She's
A sleuth?
yeah,
Nah,
right. That's the
not
right
the
word.
right word for her.
What's a
What's-
sleuth? What's a
Sleuth
sleuth?
is a detective.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's not a sleuth.
You don't even read.
She's an internet sloth. I meant to say. I know.
That's a sloth.
I'm grateful to be here.
What do you mean a sloth
No,
is
I
like
don't-
a lazy person?
I know. Well, no, she's just on the internet. She's an
She's
internet
a person like you and me.
Oh, I
on the
love
internet.
her. And
We're
she
both
has.
on the internet.
Yeah, we are.
So what is the difference between her and I?
She's on every she's on OnlyFans, she's on YouTube, she's everywhere. But her OnlyFans is fun because she just moved into this beautiful house like in the hills somewhere.
And she just shows her pussy.
She did a house
Here's
tour.
my pussy in the bathroom.
She did a house tour naked, so you're getting like this beautiful real estate. You're like, oh, nice cabinetry.
What does this gal look like? Jamie's shaking
Jamie
his
doesn't
head.
want to pull her up.
You don't want to? We showed me and not everybody else. We already said her name. Fucking keep me in the dark here, buddy.
Sorry, you're right.
Jesus. Here we go. Dun, dun,
She- yeah.
dun. Oh, okay.
She's gone through
That's her?
so many
Wait a
different
minute. That's
phases.
the same person?
Yeah, that's why.
What the hell?
She's a new person every week. She's very entertaining. A lot of
Okay.
people hate her. A
So,
lot of people love her, myself
I would
included.
imagine if you're that kind of person, click on the one of her in her bikini and see how she would look naked. Right down there in the bottom. On the bottom. There you go. Yeah, you can keep that.
I will, yeah.
So she's one of them extroverted people that gets a lot of attention.
For
and
sure.
wants a lot of attention. So
Yes.
she's probably a good person to follow because she's constantly putting out content.
Yeah, and her OnlyFans too. It's like, how do you have time for everything? Like, her OnlyFans is always updated, doing all these new things. She's making YouTube videos, podcasts, like everything. It's
So her whole day is just pumping out content.
yeah,
And you're there slack jawed eating hot Cheetos,
in
paying
bed.
attention to her. What is that?
Part of what you're saying.
The dumpster fire that is Trisha Paytas.
She just puts out all the content, getting attention for
Yes.
sometimes wrong reasons.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why you winced.
Yes.
I get it. You know what's amazing to me? I had no idea she was a person. You know what I mean? Like, probably huge. Probably has millions of followers on everything, right?
Probably gonna make comments about this now.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But that's what's amazing about the internet. It's like you can, like, my 10-year-old likes watching people play games.
Oh, on Twitch?
Yeah, no, like on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
She likes watching these pretty girls that are funny play games on Roblox.
Yeah.
Like, you know what Roblox is?
I've heard it, but I don't know exactly.
It's like
what
this
it is.
weird video game that they play, and these girls play it, and they make funny comments and laugh. She thinks it's hilarious because she's fucking 10. You know?
Do you get nervous? I watched this YouTube documentary called like The Dangers of Social Media 2.0. And the way that kind of like pornographic images are being shown to our kids, even if you have like parental controls, it shows up in weird ways and kind of subtly. And,
in YouTube?
yeah.
What do you mean?
Kind of in everything. Me and you are different. I don't retain information well, but
Or at all, right?
or at all, yeah, just in and out. But and just like how young people start watching porn now, and the way that porn projects the image of sex onto children. So now like kids in high school are just having like super gnarly sex because that's what they see and what they
Whoa.
know. And it's a really fascinating documentary. It made me be like, if I
What's
have
the
a
name
kid,
of the documentary?
So dangers of social media dangers 2.0 or something. And so they create a Instagram account for an 11-year-old, and it says the bio's like 6th grade. You know, it's very believably. If you go on her page, it looks like a 6th grader. 2 minutes after the account is activated, 2 minutes after, they get a DM from a guy whose profile picture is a penis.
Oh, Jesus.
And so it's like things are just popping up that you can't even like control, you know?
Childhood 2.0 is what it's called.
Yeah, childhood 2.0. It's very, I feel like,
Well, for sure there's a lot of that out there.
yeah.
It's not a time to grow up slowly. You know,
No.
people are growing up quickly these days, for sure. You're going to get exposed to some gnarly shit if you're online.
Yeah, and I grew up having access to the internet, and like I kind of have a vague memory of like high-speed dial-up internet, you know, the noise that it made, but then like even for me it was so quick into online stuff and being like connected into the internet, but it's so much faster now, like babies with iPads and stuff. And
Yeah. Well, if you leave your kid alone with an iPad that has an internet connection and a Google account, it's especially if there's a couple of them together. They're always like, you know what I found? And then next thing you know, the kids are looking at some fucking snuff film.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's scary. Do you
I
get
remember-
nervous about that?
Yes. Yeah, there's no way you can't. I get nervous about everything. You know, I was reading this thing about sex trafficking the other day, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, people that are, you know, kidnapped in these countries. And
In America.
yeah, that happens too. Yeah.
So much, and you don't even really realize it.
Well, mean, there's always like some guy that you hear of that's got like people locked up in his basement, and he's had them down there for 10 years, and they finally get out. You know, how many stories of those have you heard?
And they always have like a spouse, a partner. I'm like, how do you guys find that you have that in common?
Right, right.
How do you ease into that conversation of like, I'm thinking of keeping some kids in the basement. What do you think?
There's some monsters out there. Oh, it's scary.
And now, like it was saying in the documentary, because at the time my parents grew up, it became dangerous to be outside because people would get kidnapped, or, you know, you just hear of all these horror stories of kids being out hitchhiking, whatever. And so a lot of parents don't want their kids being out, but crime has gone down in that way so much since
because people aren't hitchhiking.
then.
Right.
Yeah, and so now kids are just inside on their phones because they don't play outside as much.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories about Uber, though. About girls, getting attacked by their Uber drivers.
I've been in some creepy Ubers where I start recording on my phone the audio because I'm like, I don't know how this is going to play out.
Like how so?
I remember one time I was in the back of this dude's Uber in Hollywood, and he was just saying like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was so creepy. And I think women have like this radar like within them, you know, when you can just tell something's off.
Yeah.
A guy could be totally normal, but there's just something in you that's like, I'm getting a weird vibe. And he was just saying things, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk, and just asking me weird questions. It was a long time ago, but I remember hitting record on my phone because I'm like, this guy's in full control right now, unless I jump out the back.
And it's his car too. There's so much weirdness to it, right? It's like it's so intimate. It's like you're in his apartment that moves.
And it probably is his apartment when he clocks out.
It might be.
It might be. My buddy CJ's living Ubering by day.
Does he just go to a gym to shower or something?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's doing Airbnbs and stuff now, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that Uber thing where they're driving people around all day long. And, you know, like that's their social interaction is interacting with people. And some people just want to ride. And then all of a sudden you're realizing like you're paying for the most uncomfortable conversation you could ever have.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, great. Now I have to, and then, you know, sometimes you get in a car and someone will talk, you know, Trump got a real bad rap. And you're like, oh, no. And you realize you're going to listen to this QAnon guy who's driving you around. And like, what do you say? Just, hey, drop me off. I can't do this.
I like to, when I get weirdo drivers like that who are just saying crazy stuff, I like to know what's going on in their world.
So ask them.
It's fascinating, yeah. Cause it's
but what if you're with your friend and you guys are, you know, you got plans, you got something important to talk about, and this guy starts yapping at you?
Gotta.
Where you at? What you going on tonight, girls? What you up to? What are you guys up? You guys look nice. How old are you?
Oh, it's so creepy.
What do you do for a living?
Oh.
What's your name?
When people ask what you do for a living in an Uber and you're like, I'm a comedian, they're like, tell me a joke. One time I said I was a writer because I thought that would get less questions. And the guy was like, I'm a writer too. What do you write? And I was like, what do I write? And I was like, I write stories. He was like, I write raps and poems. And then he pulled out a notebook from his glove compartment.
Did you start reading from it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When people want you to listen to their music, it's one of the most fucking painful things. Hey, I want you to listen to this song, and you're in their car, and you're like, no. Don't do this to me. Don't you do this to me.
Then you have to go, oh, wow. Who are your influences?
God, this is crazy. You know.
I've been getting into, it's fun, like, being in Texas, because I feel like I'm in the country, you know? So I've been listening to a lot of Brooks and Dunn.
Oh, there you go.
It's so
imagine
fun.
if I had people over my house, and I said, hey, I want you to listen to my podcast. Listen, everybody sit down and listen to me talk.
Have you guys heard my podcast? You guys want to listen to it? Get a little glimpse?
I'm happy if someone doesn't know I have a podcast.
Does anyone know that you don't have a podcast?
Sure, there's some people out there. I'm going to find them, hang out with them.
Oh, is that the Seth Rogen guy from the movies?
No, I'm his cousin.
That's what my aunt, I remember when when I first got to do a show with you, you know, it was obviously a big deal to me. So I'm like telling my aunt, I'm like, I get to do a show with Joe Rogan. And she's like, from the movies? The stoner guy? And I'm like, he is a stoner guy. But I don't think he's in the movies
I'm
like
not
that.
as much of a stoner. Seth Rogen apparently gets high every single day, all day long.
I get my my second vax on 420.
Woo.
Puff vax.
Wait a minute. Why are you getting a vaccination when you've already had COVID?
I didn't know. I was too late.
You don't
I
need
didn't
it.
know.
You have the antibodies.
I'll just get the one and done. I already got the one.
You're fine.
I'll let
You
the
don't
one
need
ride
it.
out.
Don't do it. Because some people are having really bad reactions when they get the vaccination and they've had COVID, especially the second vaccination, because it's just an overwhelming experience for your body to be battling it out like that. I don't know why, but see if you can Google that. Make sure that's true. Because I've heard of people, like one person told me that they had COVID and then they got vaccinated and the second one fucked them up.
My sister got... Well, she didn't want me to say it. My
Joey,
sister...
you keep doing that to your sister.
I know,
You keep throwing your sister under the bus.
fucked
Joey Diaz just got vaccinated. He said it was nothing.
That's the interesting thing,
He got
though.
the Johnson & Johnson.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was fine?
Yeah, he said he's fine.
That's good. That's the thing, though, with getting COVID. People are so afraid to say that they got COVID because they're so... Well, what were you doing?
I know.
Were you following all the rules? Were you staying locked up inside and not going out into...
That's just in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, California's lost. The rest of the country doesn't treat you like that.
Well, it's like there's a good chance you're going to get COVID if you have to go to the grocery store or do
I think
anything.
it's your dopey woke friends,
I
too.
know. God love
The ones
them,
with
though. God
2
love
masks on in their Twitter profile.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Sad.
Mm-hmm.
These kids. They're going to change the world, though.
They are.
It's going to be
They're
way
the
better.
future.
Yeah, it's going to be communist.
That would be so crazy.
It's not going to work.
No. Where would you live? Like, say...
New Zealand.
New Zealand?
I don't know. I've never been there, but
Yeah.
I live in Australia. I would say Canada, but have you seen what the fuck's going on in Canada?
See, I feel like Canada's too similar to us. People put like a nice little mask on it and are like, it's a better version. I'm like, it's pretty
No,
much the
it's not a better version.
too
Not
close to
during
home.
COVID. There's a church that they put a fence around the church, and then these people tried to go to the church anywhere and wear no masks, and then something like 200 cops were at the church. See if you can find this. It's really crazy. There's a giant number of cops that were wearing like SWAT gear showed up at a fucking church in Canada. And the internet is outraged about this. Because there was one guy who was a pastor, and he was kicking them out. These cops showed up at his church, and they all had masks on, and he was yelling, "Get out! Get out, you Nazis! You Nazis! Unless you have a warrant, get out!" He's like, "What are you doing? You're intimidating us during Passover? Get out!" He's screaming at them. It's like it got viral. Well, their response to that wasn't, "Oh my God, people don't want to be treated this way. They don't want to be yelled at like they're criminals just because they're at church." Because I guess they have some regulations about church in Canada, and particularly in this area. I think it's Canada universally, because there's some anti-lockdown riots that were going on last night in Montreal. But so this church, the next step was these cops show up in full riot gear, and some of them had gas masks because they were going to pepper spray people at a fucking church because these people were openly celebrating, and I guess they weren't wearing masks, or I guess they weren't following whatever national protocols they have. So this is the first guy. This is the guy that was screaming. We'll play some of this because it's kind of crazy.
Out of this property immediately. I don't want to hear a word. Out! Out! Out of this property.
Why does that sound like so shitty?
You'll come back with a warrant. Out! 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 Out of this property. Immediately out! Immediately go out and then come back.
So
Sounds
this
like
is
he's
the first
doing an
one.
exorcism.
Well, there's something wrong with the volume or the sound on that particular copy of the video, but the other one was a little clearer. But then yesterday, it escalated in a huge way. And I don't know if it's the same church, but there was this church where this huge group of armed police showed up with bulletproof vests, black suits, the whole deal, and to a fucking church.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. Look at this.
Oh my God.
Dude, what the fuck is this?
Do you
like,
think
this is insane. I mean, this is literally insane. They have flak jackets on, bulletproof vests, they're armed, and they're showing up.
200 cops now.
200 cops showed up at a church.
The police. So we're at close to 200 cops now. Gas masks, visors and stuff. Gas masks for gas. That the police are here to 200 cops. and a helicopter.
Men in uniform that she's supposed
40 vehicles.
They put a
one
fence
church.
around the church to keep people from going in, and people apparently were trying to go through the fence to get to the church, and then the cops just decided to enforce things. That's why you can't just tell people what to do. You can't just decide to take away people's freedom, because this is where it goes. Like, you'll start thinking, well, we're just trying to protect people. But then you got to reinforce those laws. So how do you reinforce those laws? You bring 200 armed cops to shut down a church. Now, what happens if people resist that? Well, then you have a fucking war between the churchgoers and the cops. Over what? Over they want freedom to practice their religion a year into a fucking lockdown. A year.
Yeah.
Or more than a year. It's April now. We're a year and a month, right? So they want freedom to practice their religion, and these cops are following some fucking crazy law that they have up in Canada, or some crazy orders that someone's given them to show up, 200 of them, and shut a church service down. You know, and you could say, oh, you know, they're spreading the disease. At a certain point in time, you've got to let people be people. You've got to let them be free. And also, protect yourself. We know what the fuck is going on. Protect yourself.
It's like the people who are mad at the people not wearing masks at church. It's like, you're not interacting with those people. If that's what they want to do, you're not going to be affected.
Well, they think they are, because they think it's going to spread. But the thing is, like, it's not going to spread to you if you follow safety protocols and you don't go out. You know, if you want to be that person that just lives the rest of your life in lockdown, you're allowed to. Yeah. I mean, regardless of this pandemic, if the pandemic ends and you say, you know what, it's too risky. What if a new one comes up? I don't want to be patient number one. I'm going to wear 3 masks and stay home forever. That's okay. But when you tell people what to do like this, like you tell people you can't have church service, you're going to start a fucking civil war. Like, people are going to get angry. They're going to attack the cops. And the cops, they develop this us versus them mentality. And that's why these cops would show up and act like what they're doing is not some horrific crime against justice and sanity, where they show up, 200 of them armed, to a fucking church. It's crazy. But this is where it goes. When you start telling people what to do, you have to enforce those laws. And the way you enforce those laws is through violence. And that's why this is so spooky. That's why these and that's also why a lot of these really weak people, like, what's scary is not that they have a different sensibility than people that are like that 21-year-old kid that got his dad sick, you know, and the reckless, you know, people that aren't thinking things through. The real problem is that you're enforcing your way of living on other people. And there's only one way to do that. You got to bring in the cops. Like that thing. That's what happens. Yeah. It's so dangerous.
It's unhealthy for the brain.
It's unhealthy for everybody.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you got to, at a certain point in time, like what they did in Texas. Like, the governor said, I'm going to end the mask mandate. You should still wear a mask, but I'm not going to make it a fucking law. And all businesses can open 100%. Or if you don't want to open 100%, you want to be 50% open, do that. But I'm not going to have a mandate. We're a year into this. He goes, Texas is fully open. Do whatever you want. That's what I support. Do what you want. Like,
protect yourself. Look after yourself.
Yeah. We know how to keep your immune system strong. We know how to be healthy. We know treatments for the disease if you do get it. We know how to keep yourself from getting it for the most part. Fuck. This kind of shit drives me crazy. Yeah. And there's so many people that have become these weird, they've become so compliant to authority, and they want everybody else to be compliant too.
They become their own police force.
Yeah. Well, they police everyone around them too. Yeah. They scream at people across the street, wear a mask.
Yeah.
You're on the other side of the street.
It's happened to me. Someone has come over to my boyfriend. He was at a parking lot with his buddies, four of his buddies. They were out skating. They were about to leave, and some lady from across the street walked over and goes, why aren't you guys wearing your masks? And they're like, okay, we'll wear our masks, thank you. And she goes, you can put them on now. And they're like, we're fine. And she was like, I got vaccinated, so I'm not worried about myself. I'm just looking out for you guys.
Sure. She's like, it's what we were talking about earlier with woke people. People like to tell people what to do. And there's like a clear green light to say, put a mask on. It's so clear. So should you put a mask on? Yeah, you probably should. You know why you should? not outside really, but inside especially, to make people feel better.
Yeah.
They don't feel uncomfortable around you. They don't feel like you're an asshole, and you're doing something that makes people feel better. Yeah, that's nice. That's a good thing. But the people that are like, put a fucking mask on, those are the same people as the far right people or the far left people. They're just people that like to tell people what to do. They're people that like to find an excuse to be shitty.
And feel
that's
in
what they're
control.
doing. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to go tell those people to put their fucking mask on. Her life, I guarantee you, is a mess. A steaming pile of shit mess.
Well, I think because like of the pandemic and, you know, that was something that's like out of our control. You know, I have no control over a global pandemic. You know, what can I do? Nothing. Voodoo.
You know any voodoo?
I'll learn. I'll get into witchcraft soon. But people, I think, realize that they have so little control over what can happen. And it's like, you know, a scary thing to realize that we're only so capable of doing things. So it's like these are the little like micro actions of being like, I have control over this. I can tell this person what to do.
You know what you do have control over? You have control over your health.
And yourself, yeah.
You get yourself healthier or do your best to do so. You know, Laura Beats, she lost 40 fucking pounds. She looks amazing.
After I saw that, I was nervous to come on because last time I was talking about Taco Bell, I'm like, I haven't lost shit.
Well, you weren't grossly overweight. You know, she let herself go.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Now she's like super healthy.
I know, it's
and
awesome.
Focused. That girl's focused. I get inspired by her. She she writes constantly. Like when she would go do sets at the store, I'd see her with her notes, and I'd go, yeah, that's what I like to see.
Yeah.
Someone like a fucking super thick notebook filled with pages, and she's just constantly working on her act.
Yeah.
She always has new material. She's always grinding, always grinding.
It's great.
And now she's grinding with her body too. Meanwhile, she's way healthier.
Yeah.
You know, losing 40 pounds of blubber off of your body, it just frees you up so much. And she's like, oh my God, my joints and my back and my knee, like everything was bothering me. Now it's not. Like, yeah, that's the message that needs to be pumped out into people. Not just wear 3 masks, stay the fuck away from everybody. It's like, use this time to lose weight. 78% of the people that are in the fucking ICU are obese.
Yeah.
For COVID. 78%. That's nuts.
And it's hard because it's one of those things when you're losing weight and trying to get healthier and all of that, it's a slow process. And so you don't get to see it in yourself because you see yourself every day. So it doesn't feel like you're making progress. So it's so easy to get like discouraged and be like, this isn't helping. I don't see the results.
That's why scales are important. People are like, oh, don't pay attention to the scale. Just be healthy. Listen, pay attention to the fucking scale. You don't live by it. You have to. It's not the end all be all because you could starve yourself and be unhealthy and lighter and trick yourself. But it's a good way to mark improvement. You know, and you can find ways. There's programs you could follow online that are free that can help you lose weight. There's all sorts of diets and ways to like count your calories and look at your expenditure and how much energy you're putting out, what you really need. And what she did was just like cut out flour and sugar, and just that alone, weight was falling off of her body.
Yeah. It's interesting when you start doing stuff like that, how much you realize it's in everything.
Yeah.
Like sugar and flour.
It's in everything.
In so much.
Yeah, it's in everything.
And so it's really like a full lifestyle change at first.
Yeah.
Because it's such an adjustment. It's so easy to not pay attention to what's in your food.
But if you do it, you'll feel so much better.
Yeah.
It's just this whole pandemic has exposed a lot of people's health issues. It's not as simple as it's a crisis of a disease that's ravaging the country. It is definitely that. But it also exposed how people that are healthy, it's not as big of a deal as people that are unhealthy, you know? And you don't have to catch it, too. That's the other thing. Like this idea that there's nothing you can do to protect yourself. That's not true. Your immune system can protect you from this. It can stop you from having it. When people in my house got it, there was 2 days where I was working out where I was like, I feel kind of shitty today. I just feel like I was dragging. So I just took it light. I just broke a sweat, didn't push myself, I was like, I'm aware because I work out a lot. So I think about it.
Do you work out every day?
No, I always take at least 1 day a week off.
Yeah.
Always. But I have friends that work out every fucking day. And they just do different things.
Are you still doing the sauna?
Every day. That I do every day.
Whoa.
I was doing it 5 days a week, but now I basically do it almost every day. Occasionally I'll take a day off. It's way more likely that I don't take a day off.
Do you ever do the like ice baths?
No, I need to get one of those. I need to get one of them. They have a tank that it's like a ice plunge, and it'll cool it, so it get it to like 34 degrees. So you can just climb in. You don't have to add ice to it. So basically it keeps it chilled. You put a lid on it, and then you climb in it. The best, apparently, is going sauna, ice bath, sauna, ice bath. That's the way to do it.
I love that Wim Hof guy.
Oh, he's awesome.
I love him.
Yeah, he's awesome. Breathing exercises are amazing.
Yeah.
You ever do those?
Sometimes if I'm like really stressing. But it's something that I would like to do more consistently, because it's not like... I feel like breathing exercises or meditation, like it's helpful if you do it every once in a while, but it's most effective if you're doing it like in a regular practice.
Yeah.
Do you meditate?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I do, but I do it through, well, I used to do it when I had my tank. I don't have a tank here. I used to do it in the tank, but now I do it through breathing exercises.
Yeah.
In the sauna. Usually I combine them. It makes it more difficult.
Knock them all out.
Well, it just makes it more difficult too. The breathing exercises in the but if I do it right, I can get into this kind of crazy trance where I don't realize how much time has passed, because all I'm thinking about is the breathing. So all I'm thinking about is big, long, deep breath in, big, long, deep breath out, big, long. And I read this book called Breathe by James Nestor. It's a really good book. Interesting book on the history of breathing exercises. Then I had him on the podcast and talked to him about it. And, you know, it was a bunch of different styles of breath exercises and all the different benefits and where these things have emanated from, but all these different things that people have shown that they can do with their body from breathing exercises, like massively boost your immune system.
Have you done like a breathwork class before?
No.
Oh, it's crazy. Your hands get like clamped like a crab or a lobster or something.
Yeah.
Because you're like so out of control of your body when you're doing it.
What kind of class did you do?
I don't know if there was like a name for it. It was just like a guided breathwork class. So the guy's like explaining like the rhythm to breathe in and like how fast or slow to go. It was a while ago, but it was like maybe eight seconds of like deep breathing in and then 8 out, and then I think it changes throughout the class. But I have such a hard time letting go that I'm just like thinking about it. I'm like, don't cry, because sometimes people cry because it's so powerful. And I can easily like shut off and be like, don't fucking cry.
Why'd you not want to cry?
I don't know. I'm afraid of my emotions.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it you were afraid to cry around people, or do you cry when no one's around?
Oh, I love crying when no one's around. Just thinking of all the fucked up shit and playing a story of why I'm so awful. And
really?
Every once in a while, yeah, I like to just really shed it and let it go.
So do you think you build it up and then you have to just open the bag?
Yeah. So it was so funny. I last time I did the podcast, someone said Allie looks like she's always holding back tears.
Whoa.
She talks like she's like trying not to cry.
You mean a random comment on YouTube? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I wasn't reading them. It was one of the top comments. It was upvoted. This person's comment was very successful. It was just at the top. I wasn't doing a deep dive. Only the greatest hit comments.
Do you read your comments on like Instagram and Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, but not like I'll just skim through. It's not something where I'm like, I need to check the comments.
Yeah.
Because you've said it a bunch. Like, what's the point? Michael Jordan's not reading the comments. Like,
I said he's not writing them.
Writing them?
Yeah.
But he's also not reading them.
He's probably not reading them either. But the kind of people that write them generally don't have their shit together. The people that like are shitting on you in particular and like want to make you feel bad. Look at fucking Allie with her frumpy shitty clothes. Why don't you dress nicer? Like who is that guy? You know, some idiot. But meanwhile, you're absorbing his stupid idiot thoughts and you're taking them into your head.
And then I'm crying about it.
He doesn't even want his thoughts.
Yeah.
Like if he had to listen to himself, he'd be like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he doesn't have any discipline. So he's trapped. He's trapped in his own shitty mind.
Yeah.
But you can let that person into your head and it's like eating bad food. Like all of a sudden you've been poisoned, you have gas. Like, ugh.
Yeah. That's why I don't do it that much anymore, because I'm allowed to be my own critic, and
that's good.
I know what I want to improve. I know what my weaknesses are. And I only take, advice from people I look up to, like you, Santino. Like, if I'm ever, like, questioning myself or whatever I'm doing, I'm like, there's people I turn to who know. There's people that you go to for what you need.
Your colleagues.
Yes.
We're colleagues,
yes.
Allie. Yeah. Well, I think you're self-critical. I've talked to you about your act before, and you're a person that, like, goes over it and thinks about it. You have a set that you don't like or something's wrong. Like, you're not delusional. And the people that are delusional, it's that they just don't get better.
Yeah.
They don't. If you protect yourself from that pain, you don't grow. We all know people like that, right?
Totally. And I think that's the hard thing about comedy is it can be. The good times can be so fleeting when you have a good set, you're on this high and it's such a high that you're like, this is awesome. Like, I feel like a rock star. I'm doing it. I'm in it. And then you have a shitty set. You don't like your material that night, whatever. And you're just like, I'm garbage. How did I even get here? Like, what am I doing? How did this happen? And then that feels like it goes on forever. But it's figuring out the ways and the tools of, like, getting out of that. It's like, okay, well, maybe I can review my set earlier in the day and kind of just have a good day and put that to the side so I'm not hyper-focused on that and overthinking the material and letting it become, like, rigid or something. So just kind of, like, figuring out what works best for me and what makes me the most, like, loose but polished at the same time. Because sometimes, like, I'll be on stage and I'm like, am I doing a guided meditation right now? Like, I feel like I'm listening to myself speak, and that's, like, the dangerous area for me is when I'm not present and in the moment of that, because I was overthinking my entire set the whole day out of nerves or fear.
And the audience can recognize that, too.
100%.
They feel it. They smell it.
Totally.
When you're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a strange art form, and no one really can tell you what to do. They can kind of tell you, I like how you did it last time, or most of the time when you do this, it's like that, but this time you did it this way and it's better. But, the way you do it is going to be different than the way Santino does it, or different than the way Diaz does it. Yeah. Everybody's got Ali Wong's got her own thing. Everybody's got their own thing. It's like there's no like hard, fast rules other than economy of words. That's pretty universal, but not even totally.
And it's very trial and error,
Yeah.
like mute bands don't go on stage and like, we're going to just test out this new song.
Yeah.
We've never done it before. Just going to try it out.
Well, the thing is about, like, trying something out. Like, I've tried something out and had it go fucking nowhere. And you're like, Jesus Christ, I've been doing comedy forever and I still do this. And then I've tried something out of nowhere and boom, it gets this huge fucking roar. Like, I did this bit the other day that I came up with it basically over the last, like, couple of days, and it was the first time I'd ever done it on stage, and it crushed. And Tony grabbed me afterwards. He goes, dude, that was one of the funniest things I've ever heard you say. Like, where's that from? I'm like, it's totally new. He's like, oh my God. Like, because everyone knows what that feeling's like when you have a totally new bit. It's totally new and it's killing. You're like, ah.
The worst is when you do a brand new bit and it works. It kills the first time you do it. And you're like, I got a new bit. Shit. Oh, the second time it's like bombing. You're like, how? What's the difference?
Did you record? Do you record?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference. You gotta listen to the recording, figure out, what did I do wrong? What did I do right?
I always audio record. I want to start just filming my set so I can visually see it too.
That's better.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans has recorded on video all of his sets since the 90s.
Jesus.
Yep. He shows up at the Improv. He has a tripod and a camera, sets up, films it, and then he goes home, stores it, and edits it. So he watches all his shit, stores it, and edits it.
Wow.
Amazing.
Can't wait for that movie.
What movie?
The movie of all of his sets over time and his career and life story.
Well, I don't even know if he does specials anymore. He hasn't. I don't think he's done a special in a long time.
Did you see Kid 90s? Is that what it's called?
I don't know what's that.
I think it's on Hulu. The girl who played Punky Brewster, what's her name? She has a crazy cool name. It's like
Malik Bowling.
Soleil Moon Frye.
Oh yeah, Soleil Moon Frye. She like filmed everything like on VHS after being Punky Brewster. And so it's just like kind of her life story told from all these old VHSs that she recorded growing up.
So she stopped all acting, right?
She tried to act, but it was like hard to get out of the image of like the young Punky Brewster.
But I mean, now she's not doing it anymore, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
But
she has like
Will Smith.
Is that Marky Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was so interesting because she was like in the it crowd of like all these stars from that time, like Leo DiCaprio, young Leo in these videos, and
wow, look at them all, the little kids.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, they look like little kids.
Mm-hmm. It was really cool.
Is that Matt Damon looking like a little kid in that picture you just had up?
This one?
The one you just had, yeah.
That's Brian Austin Green, I think.
Who's the one in the middle?
Not Matt Damon, but...
It looks like it. Look at little kid Matt Damon.
I don't know.
Who is that little kid?
It looks maybe Steven Dorff. I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's, that's a weird road. Like we were talking before the podcast about the one I did with Demi Lovato and Miley Cyrus. That world of being famous when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Fuck that. That's crazy.
It's hard. It's a weird... And because it's all publicized, you watch them as they grow and they don't get to figure themselves out on their own. Did I ever tell you I used to be on the radio?
The radio?
Yeah. I've told you this before.
In another life?
No, when I was like 7 years old. I was on Kiss FM.
Did you tell me this?
I have.
Really?
Yeah, Ryan
Did I
Seacrest
block
is
it
the
out?
host of it, probably. Yeah.
Why did I not remember that?
I don't know, because it
Was
wasn't...
it good?
Yeah, I mean, I had a job working as a radio personality for like 4 years from 3rd grade until 6th grade. Yeah, making prank phone calls.
No, yeah, I don't think you told me this.
I've told you.
Did you tell me on the air?
No.
You told me in real life.
I told you in real life.
I don't know if you did. I don't remember it. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm. I've heard her talk about it before.
I don't.
But I was like a little mini celebrity in my hometown. You know, like my dad I remember one time he had to get a rental car and they were going to give him like, you know, a Toyota or something. And he's like, do you listen to Kiss FM? Do you know Lil Allie? That's my daughter. Can I get a convertible? Pick me up from school in a nicer rental car or something.
Wow.
Yeah. But, I mean, even that was hard, and that was like
How
nothing.
the fuck did that happen?
I called in randomly. My sisters listened to Kiss FM. When we would get ready for school, we'd listen to it.
You were 7?
I was 7.
No one's watching you?
My dad was home. And
Asleep?
my sisters were home, probably, yeah.
And you just grabbed the phone and started dialing numbers?
I asked my sister, I said, I want to call into the radio station. I want to, like, request a song or something. And my sister's like, I'm not giving you the number. You're going to embarrass me. All my friends listen to this station. And so she tries calling in. She doesn't get through. My dad takes her to school. Me and my other sister are at home. I press redial on the phone. And I immediately get through. And now I'm panicking. I don't know what to say. And I'm like, can I get Britney Spears tickets? Talking to Ryan Seacrest. And he's like, can you sing a Britney Spears song? So I'm like 7 years old singing Toxic by Britney Spears. Just being like, the taste of your lips, I'm on a ride. And after I sing this song, he's like, oh, we don't have Britney Spears tickets, but we have American Idol tickets. And I was like, I'll only go if they're VIP.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're just having a conversation back and forth. He's like, where are your parents? I'm like, I don't know. Dad's out. It's like 7 a.m. And so then I ended up getting a job making prank phone calls for them.
How did it end?
It ended with me not being little anymore. And
They didn't like you anymore?
no, I was too old. I was like 12.
Is that really what happened?
So I had a contract that would expired, and then they wanted to renew it, but in a different way, and sign on to Ryan's production company. But my dad
he wanted to pimp you out.
Yeah.
Whoa. Did
And
he want a piece of you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of piece?
I think they wanted like 20%.
Of everything you do?
Uh-huh.
From there on out?
I think so.
Whoa.
And my dad was like, that's too much. And so we didn't end up doing it.
If your stand-up career took off, you'd be Ryan Seacrest bitch. So for the rest of your career, if you had signed that, it might be for life.
Yeah, but
I don't think it would have been for life.
Forever.
You produced the Kardashian show.
Forever and ever and
I
ever.
always tell my dad we could have been the Macofskys, keeping up with the Macofskys.
Yeah, you fucked up, Dad.
No, but I'm so grateful because, I mean, I don't know if anything would have come of that or anything, but like I'm glad I got to eat lunch in the bathroom alone in high school and like have all of those, just
awkward moments.
Weird, awkward, uncomfortable moments.
Isn't that funny that at the time you think of them as being the worst thing ever, and then later on you realize there's kind of a gift in some of that weird angst?
Yeah.
Especially as an artist, as someone who creates things, like to be able to pull from those uncomfortable moments.
I was just looking over one of my like earliest sets, like one of my first things that I typed up for my first open mic. And it was so sad. Everything ends, like my punchline for every joke is like, that's because I'm pathetic. That's because I'm a loser. And I was like, what a dark place to be in, or that's like my best punchline for a joke.
Well, when you started doing Kill Tony, how long had you been doing comedy?
I think I was maybe like a year in, give or take. But once I started, I wasn't 21, so I ended up having to wait like 6 more months until I could perform at the Comedy Store.
Right.
Because I had gotten kicked out for not being of age. And so once I was back in, then I started doing it. But I think it had been like maybe a year into stand-up.
The Comedy Store is a place where you can only perform if you're 21. But when I was a kid, you could perform when you were 18. But you couldn't drink until you're 21.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, though. I didn't perform until I was 21 because I thought you had to wait. So I waited till just a little bit after my birthday.
I was there on my 21st at midnight.
Really?
And Red Band gave me $21 because it was my 21st birthday. And I was like, I'm going to keep coming here on my birthday. I'm making a little cash grab out of this.
So every year, you're like, next year I got $22 in the bank.
Yeah, I'm like, September 8th, be at the store, Brian.
But you started when you were how old, though? What was the first time you were on stage?
I think my first time on stage was when I was 18, maybe 17. I went to the Laugh Factory.
See, they don't care at the Laugh Factory. They don't give a fuck. You could be 2 years old.
Totally.
And Jamie will try to manage you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I had been going, I'd been sneaking into the Laugh Factory using my sister's ID to get in, and I would watch all the shows there, and I wanted to do stand-up, and I asked, Dane Cook was there one night, and I asked him after one of my shows, I was like, I want to do stand-up, but I'm 17. I don't know if I'm allowed to. And he was like, you can do it. And he was like, Jamie, she's 17. Can she do the open mic? And Jamie's like, how the fuck are you inside this club? And I was like, I don't know. I'm actually 18 maybe. And so then I went home and I wrote that first set, and I signed up the next week. I was too late to the sign up, so I had to sign up the next week. So I guess my first open mic. But he said, how the
fuck are you in the club? And then he didn't recognize you when you came to the club again?
He wasn't there for the open mic. But he said if you're underage, you can do the open mic because it's during the day. It's like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday or something.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What kind of crowd do they have?
It's tourists who are going there to like sign up for open mics.
Oh.
That was how it was when I was there. I don't know if it's.
Well, they always have the weird thing where they made everybody line up around the corner and wait all day.
And everyone's just driving by like, who are these?
Yeah. That was a weird strategy of making people line up, and you had to keep your place in line. So if you wanted it, you had to stay out there all day long. What time did the lineup start?
I think the lineup started at, no, it started at like 2 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, it's everyone who doesn't have a job is signing up for this open mic.
And then you're signing up for the next week, right?
Which starts at like 6 p.m. or something like that, maybe 5.
But you're not signing up for the same week, right?
No, you're signing up for the following week.
Yeah.
So the first time I got there just to sign up to perform the following week, I got there like an hour early, and there were already 16 people in line, and they only take like the first 15.
Really?
So then the next time I got there like 3 hours early, packed a lunch just in case. And then I did my first open mic, but I didn't do it again for like a year and a half after that.
What made you decide you wanted to be a comic? Did you have a comic that you admired? Was it?
I looked up to Dane Cook, and then and he was, my sister would pick me up from school in like 5th grade, and she would be playing his albums. And it was like the funniest shit I had ever heard. And it was like jokes that I would quote. And I was like, that's so cool that someone could like tell jokes that people just say in day-to-day life, you know? And then when I grew up and I was
How old were you at this time?
5th grade, so like maybe 10. Yeah. And then when I was in high school, I would go to the Laugh Factory all the time. And I looked up to D'Elia, and I would watch him perform all the time. And I remember I was going there so often that Dom Herrera was like, are you stalking me? While he's on stage, he's like, are you stalking me? And I was like, I just want to be you, Dom. And so I think I just knew. I was so naive that one day I was at the Laugh Factory and they were doing a new material night. And I was like, these people aren't just coming up with this off the cuff. They're writing and working on it. That means that if I write and work on it, then I can do it. And so that's when I went up to Dane Cook after a show and was like, how do I do this?
Wow.
And he was really nice about it. And
So
it
that was
like
8 years ago then.
Yeah, 8 years ago I did my very first open mic.
Oh.
Yeah.
And did you know immediately after you did it, this is what I want to do?
Oh yeah.
Did you get any
yeah.
laughs?
Yeah.
Did you?
I have the video on my computer.
Do you remember your first joke?
Yep. I'm not gonna say it. I am not gonna say it.
You don't have to.
But it was bad, but I think I like told the jokes in a way that was confident. Well, no, actually it wasn't. No, I take that all back. I was shaking on stage so bad.
Was it the first time you'd ever done anything scary like that?
Yeah, the first time I really put myself out there in that way.
But you did the radio.
But I think but that was pre-recorded, you know.
Oh.
I was in a studio, I would show up, they're telling me who I'm calling, what the point of the phone call is, like it felt like a controlled environment. If a call didn't work out, they scrapped the call, we call another place.
Seriously though, imagine if you did become successful and you had to give Ryan Seacrest 20% forever.
Yeah.
It just sits with you.
I don't know what that would have looked like.
Hell.
Yeah.
You'd be pimped out forever. He'd be calling you. You know, I got a lot of people that I'm getting 20% from, Allie, but I'm not getting much from you. Let's see some movement.
Sorry, Ryan. Sorry, Ryan.
Come on, get to work.
Yeah, that would have been awful. That would have been so much stress.
But he does that. He did it with the Kardashians, right? Like he produced a show.
Deal,
I think he made some sort of weird deal where he gets a percentage of them.
Oh, I bet.
Gets a piece of the action.
I bet. But they're bringing in a lot of money.
Oh, a spectacular amount of money.
Oh yeah.
But they're not going to do it anymore, apparently.
No, I think people were upset about that because they made it seem like they were done with it, but I believe they are still producing a show but on a different network.
Oh,
so many. 20 seasons of it.
Jesus. So do you think they probably want to cut Ryan Seacrest out? Like, I'm tired of this shit.
They
Maybe.
can have their own streaming app probably, right?
Something like that. Oh, if they did that, Jesus Christ. If they just did some OnlyFans type deal.
Yeah, I mean.
Or Patreon.
Yeah.
A lot of people went the Patreon route.
People make big money on that.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Dillon's making like $100K a month in that.
Why are you ratting him out?
It says it on his profile if you just look at it. Yeah, it's public.
Tim's balling.
I know.
He's balling out of control. He moved to Texas.
He's out here?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
You knew it, right?
Everyone's out here.
A lot of people are out here. Segura moved out here.
They're officially
Bought a
moved?
house. Yeah.
But they're still in LA right now.
Till the end of the month.
Yeah.
Woo!
It's exciting.
Woo!
All your friends.
Everybody. Joey Diaz is not, though.
Oh.
He's in New Jersey eating pizza. He likes Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess that's the thing. People realize they can kind of be anywhere now.
Yeah.
To some extent.
You can, to some extent. Joey was not a Hollywood guy. And once he became successful with his podcast and stand-up, like, he does not like that acting world of dealing with, like, you know, people that are, let's just be kind and say disingenuous. You know, he would get so angry. He fucking hated them.
Yeah.
He would get so mad. These fucking actors. He would just get so furious. Because he's just like, you know, this former criminal. He's an ex-con, you know? He's a felon. So, like, his...
Can't relate to the pretty boys and
You can't relate to bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not pretty. It's just bullshitters.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's just a weird environment, you know?
Do you know if he's doing shows out there or if he's laying low
Yeah, he's
right
been
now?
doing shows. Yeah.
How often are you able to get up out here?
As much as I want. During the Chappelle shows, we're doing quite a few. I do regular shows in town here.
Yeah.
But right now I'm busy trying to get the club up and running. And once the club gets up and running, once all the pieces are in place, you know, it's quite a project. The idea of starting a comedy club.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of work.
It does seem like a lot of work, but it also seems exciting, right? Because it's like something where you're starting it from the ground up. So it's this completely new thing, and it can kind of go a lot of different ways, and a lot of different things can happen. And it's that, like, new things, completely new things where you don't know what's going to happen one way or the other. Those things are very exciting. It's scary.
Is it?
But it's exciting.
Are there different rooms in there, or is it one main?
Can't even talk about it.
Oh.
Can't
I like that.
Yeah. Because some incorrect information is leaked out, but there's a confidentiality agreement in place until everything's.
Mum's the word. Well, I'm
happening.
excited to see. It's so crazy that you're doing this, and to get to like see it all unfold, and like, you know, looking back 5 years from now and seeing like what comes.
Yeah, I think it can be awesome, because the goal is to do it the right way and just make it an awesome place for people to work and an awesome place for people to see comedy. So make it as fun and as comfortable for the comics as possible, as welcoming to the comics as possible. You know, I want to set up a restaurant there so people can, like, comics can eat there too.
Yeah.
Like, good food, because comics are all
kind of like
unhealthy.
a Comedy Cellar vibe.
I haven't been in the cellar since the 90s.
Yeah.
But just something where it's like there's healthy food, it's a warm, inviting environment. So even if you're not, like, say if you're working somewhere else, when your set's over, just come down. Like, the people will be there hanging out. It'll be fun. There's going to be a whole comedian's bar, like the back bar of the store that I'm setting up. I'm making it so that it's as welcoming and as fun for comics as possible. And the whole idea is just to make it so that I can, like, as a service to comedians and to comedy.
Are you in a rush to get it done, or are you just taking your time with it?
I want to do it right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to take too long, but I want to do it right.
Yeah.
That's as much time as it takes to do it right. But I wanted to get it going, you know? I just feel like I've just stopped and thought about, like, all the things that I loved about the store and all the things I loved about other places and all the things that I wish that comedy clubs had. And so I'm taking it from there and design it from the jump. Like, you got to have a place where comics can chill and they don't get bombarded by people, because there's always weirdos who want to sit next to you and take pictures of you, and it just gets too weird sometimes, especially when you're preparing to do a show. Like, there's some clubs, like here's a perfect example, the hallway to the OR. It's an impossible place to be. Impossible. Everybody's talking out in the hallway, and if you have a set, there's always someone who wants to grab you and, hey, can I take a selfie? Like, literally about to go on stage.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
And then you have to be like a dick right before you perform. And
the
have that
bathrooms
in
are
your
right
head.
there.
Yeah.
You're standing in the hallway, so the people are going down there.
And people can see you in the hallway, and then they get up and they
and they come over toward yeah. And they don't care if you have your notes. They don't care. So you have to hide. So you can either stand that little waitress stand, which you're always in the way. The waitresses are trying to get, excuse me, no, sorry, you know. And then it's just that's the way the OR is set up. The inside is fucking amazing. It's one of the greatest inside clubs, but it's the worst setup of all time. And then the waitresses have to go through all those fuckheads,
like a maze,
to get to the stage with the drinks and not have them spill. So they have to come out of that back bar and then walk through the swinging doors and then go down the hall and then up the stairs. It's ridiculous.
Narrow.
It's narrow. And what's even worse, the fucking belly room. They have to hike it up that crazy flight of stairs with drinks. Like, those girls must have some fucking jacked legs, because they're walking up there with these stacks of drinks. And then you have this insanely tight room where you're supposed to have 70 people, but you always have 100.
Yeah, it's packed out.
Yeah, it's always ridiculous. And so many people are standing. Like, remember in the back area, we used to do, like, stand up on the spot. Everybody would be standing in the back because there was no more seats.
Comics come up and then they're just watching. And
yeah, so there's things about the store that I thought were perfect, and there's things that the store, like, this needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna apply that information.
That's
but
cool.
Most important, make it as comic friendly as possible.
Yeah.
Make it so they feel like this is home. Like, they feel comfortable there.
Because it's so special. Once you find that in a club, it's like you have better sets.
Yep.
Because you feel comfortable, you're relaxed, you know the people there, you know how you're going to be treated when you get there. And then you can just be let loose on stage. There's nothing to, like, think about in terms of, like...
Exactly. Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if there was a place like that already here, I wouldn't have to open up a place. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But right now there's, you know, smaller places that are trying to kind of getting together and figuring it out. But the scene here is tight. It's strong. And it feels good. And because all these people are moving here, it's got a lot of energy to it. It feels like it's very energized.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Like, walking around, I went to Vulcan, the Creek in the Cave, and Paramount Theater and just walking around the city is just really fun.
Yeah.
Everyone's fired up.
Yeah, it's whenever something new is happening, you know, and there's this exodus to Austin.
Texodus.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Someone said Texodus.
That's a good name. That's what it's like, though. It's like, and because of that, just things are stimulated. There's like a feeling in the air of newness, of like novelty, like wow. Because you don't usually get a chance to be at something where something is really happening right now. And because of COVID, everything was kind of forced to happen. You know, especially with Los Angeles still hasn't opened up comedy clubs, which is fucking crazy. Like, I don't know what's going to happen June 15th, but apparently they're going to open up a lot of things. But I don't know what that means.
But I think at a very limited capacity.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
I don't think that's what they're saying.
I thought they said like 15 or 20% capacity.
June 15th?
But
no, I don't think so. I think June 15th, what California is basically saying is they're going to open everything up on June 15th. Because that's quite a while from now. It's 2 months. I think the idea is that everybody will either be vaccinated or dead. And then or starve to death. And then they'll figure out a way to open it up. It's not funny. Don't laugh. Don't bad people. Don't laugh at death.
We're bad people.
Yeah. I don't know. And it's also, he's getting recalled. I mean, you want to be cynical. The governor's getting recalled. I mean,
what does that mean?
They're going to have another election.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to try to get him out of office. So because of that, I'm sure that had a motivation to get him to do things quicker.
For sure. But that's 100%. Also, it's like he keeps going back and forth. It's so hard to keep track. That's why I'm like, I think it's 20%, because one time I read that it was, and then it's going to be like 75%. And then
imagine if the Comedy Store opened up and 200 armed cops were there like that, like that church. That's the kind of shit you're dealing with government. Government is supposed to be people that are working for the community. They're supposed to be working for people. As soon as shit like that happens with that church, you realize like, oh, this is what happens when people think they're just allowed to tell people what to do and other people have to listen, and it's mindless, and the compliance is mindless. That's what it is. And they think they're doing it for a good reason. See, the thing about COVID is it's like one of the best reasons. Like, you're putting other people at risk. You're putting other people at danger. So therefore, we're going to shoot you. We're going to show up with 200 cops and
full body suits.
Fucking mace you. It's just so weird. It's such a weird year. Like, we had to rethink society, and the vulnerability of our civilization has been exposed in a way that you would never think that something that has a 99 point whatever % survival rate would expose. You would never believe. I mean, what is the actual? It's hard to tell. Like, I've heard it's like a 0.1% death rate. If you want to really be honest about it, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's less than 1% of the people who get it die, and it's just wrecked the entire country.
Yeah,
it's wild.
And I imagine something. Don't you think something like this is likely to happen again at some point in the future? Like, do you think that this event will help the way that we go about it again, or do you think it's one of those things where history repeats itself and no one will really learn?
We'll be better prepared. There's two things that can happen. You can be cynical. Here's the cynical perspective. The cynical perspective is that it becomes an incremental power grab. So, like, there's a lot of things that happened after 9/11 where the government stepped in and started doing a lot of shit that they were never doing before, like the NSA wiretapping, where there's just overall broad, widespread surveillance of the American people that Edward Snowden exposed and that WikiLeaks is sort of exposed and all these different whistleblowers have exposed. There's a lot of shit going on that it allows them to do a lot of things without needing warrants, without needing a lot of what they normally would have used before September 11th. But because of the Patriot Act, then the Patriot Act 2, they were allowed to do all this shit. And all that's the justification was, hey, we don't ever want a terrorist attack like that to happen again. So then the TSA is in place, right? And then the TSA is telling you, you have to take your fucking shoes off because some dude tried to blow his shoes up. And, everyone's getting constantly checked and frisked and let me look in your bag. And
That's. I was watching the Snowden movie that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in, and I was always kind of the person who's like, who cares if the government's looking at my phone? Like, I've got nothing to hide. And that movie kind of made me realize, like, it's not about that you have nothing to hide. It's the fact that you should be able to Google whatever you want.
Yeah.
And not have anyone, like, privacy is important, even if you think you have nothing to hide. It's like it can all be kind of used against you in some way or another.
And it can be used against you disingenuously.
Yeah.
Like, you could look up how to get rid of a body. It doesn't mean you're a murderer.
I've looked it up.
I have to. But if you're thinking around, like, how does one get rid of a body? You just can't have people that have that kind of power over other people.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as those 200 cops showing up at the church. Why are they doing that? It's because they haven't thought it through. Okay, and that's what people do when they have power over people. Did you see that cop that pulled over this? He pulled over an officer in the Army, a guy who was a lieutenant, and was yelling at him. The guy was nothing but polite, wound up macing the officer, pulled him out of the car, assaulted him, like fucking manhandled him for nothing, did nothing, maced his dog. His fucking dog got maced, and then had to let him go because the guy did nothing wrong. And now they fired the cop. But just imagine that this is happening where people aren't getting filmed all across the country for years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
Why? Because we've allowed people to have this unfettered power, this unstopped power. And some people are just terrible at that. Now, if that guy got pulled over by a great cop, first of all, maybe a great cop would have never even pulled him over. But if we got to see that, hello, sir, how are you doing this evening? And the guy said, oh, I see you're in the service. You know, what rank are you? I'm a lieutenant. Thank you for your service. And then all of a sudden they have this nice conversation. Oh, I thought this was going on, but apparently I'm wrong. Have a good day, sir. And everybody's like, oh, a cop experience can be friendly and positive. Now, that's a lot of the experiences that people have with police officers, but you never get to see those because the ones that horrify people are the ones that go viral, like this one.
I think because you would expect, the police to be looking out for you and be treating you in the way of that. And
those fucking cops, so many cops have PTSD. They're all whacked out. There's a giant percentage of them. I don't know what the number is, but how many cops have seen people murdered? How many cops have seen pulled up on car accidents and suicides and child molestations and all the fucking horrific shit they see? How many have lost friends? How many have been shot at? How many have been in gunfights? And then every day, is this the last day of their life? And they're all hopped up and stressed out and fucked up. And and then, some of them are not bright too. How about that? Some of them are great. Some of them they're brilliant. They know how to handle people. They have good psychology. They're good, solid people with solid character. And other ones are just shitbags that wanted to be tough guys. Yeah. And now they got a gun and a badge and they can tell you what to do. And they will, get on the fucking floor. Get on the floor. And you're like, Jesus Christ. And you've seen it. We've all seen it. We've all seen those videos.
Yeah. Do you get out of tickets or anything?
If I did, I wouldn't tell. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
I'm not a bad guy.
No, of course not.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
I watched City of Lies over the weekend, which is about it's Johnny Depp, Forrest Whitaker. The movie was made 4 years ago, maybe.
What is that?
That's
the one about the
murder.
Biggie. Yeah.
I looked up afterwards how much of what they put in the movie is true or based off of fact. It seems like almost all of the movie is based off of fact. However, the acting.
It's about the Rampart division, right?
That's where I didn't want to spoil Sting, but that's where there's a line apparently, according to the movie, that's drawn where there was a cop that could have said, "This is what it really is," but they went with the Rampart thing anyway, which buried all of this other information and evidence and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, you spoiler alerting us. Fucked it up already.
Sorry, the book's been out for 15
Son
years.
of a bitch. Yeah, but the movie hasn't.
The movie's been out for a long time. I didn't spoil
like
much of the story.
The movie's been out for an hour. Nobody's seen that movie.
No one's going to not watch the movie because I just said that.
You just ruined it for everyone.
I'm never watching it, Jamie.
I'm so sorry.
You really killed my vibe today.
There was a good article about that whole thing in Rolling Stone a bunch of years ago.
So the guy who wrote the book, I probably wrote that article. He was a Rolling Stone contributor.
Oh.
That's who Forrest Whitaker's character is. And the movie is an LA Times writer. I don't know what they kind of fudged there.
Right.
Fucking crazy story.
Yeah, it's a crazy
as far
story.
As the story is
What's it called? City of Lies?
Yeah. There's a book called Labyrinth, I believe, like L-A-B, like Labyrinth.
Well, it's a perfect example of cops out of control. The Rampart Division was out of fucking control. And this is coming from a friend of mine who was an L.A. police department guy. He worked for the cops. And he was telling me, why couldn't I say officer? The word officer, I couldn't find
Officer.
it. He was an officer.
Uh-huh.
He was telling me how fucking out of control they were. He's like, these guys just saw a lot of people making millions of dollars selling drugs. They saw murders. They saw these different things. And then cops got paid to do detail. So meaning they got paid to do security at a lot of these like places where criminals were doing things, like whether it's people in the rap industry or whatever industry they were in. And then they got closer to some of these criminals, and then some of the cops became like, that's one of the things that happens to undercover drug dealers or undercover DEA agents. Sometimes they turn because they realize, like, Jesus Christ, like, what am I doing? I'm making $50,000 a year. This guy's making $50,000 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening here? Why am I wasting my time? And then they turn. And they wound up doing these. They wind up this. One of the things that happens is you're undercover and you're pretending you're a drug dealer, and then you just become a fucking drug dealer.
Yeah, it's like what's the other movie like that with I think Denzel Washington?
Training Day.
I just watched that for the first time.
Yeah, that's a great fucking movie. That's a great fucking movie.
I was clenched the whole time.
Yeah, that's a great fucking movie.
It's so good.
That might be about the Rampart.
I think so.
Or like is loosely based off of it.
Well, undercover cops becoming corrupt, and corruption in police departments is as old as time. There's always been a problem with it. And the documentary, The 7-5, is an amazing example of that. It's a fucking incredible movie. That's Tiller Russell's documentary. He's the same guy who did the movie... what is the...
Silk Road.
Silk Road, but the other one... Odessa, Operation Odessa.
Oh yeah, that's another documentary.
That's amazing. That's another documentary that he did about. That's. I don't even want to tell you what it's about. I just want you to watch it because it's better if you know Operation Odessa.
Okay.
It's wild.
So where do I watch it?
Netflix. Yeah.
Okay.
Netflix. But it's set. The 7-5 is a great insight into how it goes wrong with cops because this guy. Mike Dowd, who's the sort of the main protagonist. Well, he's not even. He's a bad guy. It's like he becomes a bad guy like almost right away, and then gets worse and worse and worse as the story goes on. Like as he gets deeper and deeper involved in corruption, next thing you know, he's selling drugs. He's robbing drug dealers, and it's madness. Driving a Corvette to work, and everybody's like, "Where the fuck are you getting this money?" Like they were just living like crazy people, doing coke on the job. And they're cops. And this was like rampant through the like. Have you seen Cocaine Cowboys? Oh my God, that's the best. That's the best. The best corruption. Like see how things go wrong with crime and cops. The entire 1 year, the entire graduating class of the police department in Miami, either was murdered or went to jail. The entire graduating class.
Whoa.
They were just wild people. And everyone was doing coke, and everyone was selling coke, and the cops were corrupt.
What year was this? Roughly?
80s, Miami Vice days.
Good time for coke.
Well, that's what made Miami.
Yeah.
My friend did his residency there. He's an ophthalmologist, and he said it was the fucking craziest place to be. He said every day you see people with a knife in their back, gunshots, this, that. Like it was just cocaine murders, cartel murders. It was just chaos. And he was in the emergency room because, he was a young med student. So he's dealing with this just all day, day in, day out. And he had pictures. This is back when you had like Polaroids.
ER doctors, that's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Because you never know what you're going to get.
Especially when you're dealing with cocaine wars.
And now it's all
wars.
Fentanyl.
You need to watch Cocaine Cowboys.
Okay.
And there's Cocaine Cowboys too.
Oh,
both
the
of
sequel.
them. These are
more coke, more cowboys.
Billy Corbin is one of the best documentary makers of all time. He's amazing, and he's a guy out of Miami. I've had him on the podcast a couple of times. He's also did this great documentary on steroids in baseball with A-Rod called Screwball, where he used little kids to play the roles of the steroid dealer and the baseball player, used little kids, and the little kids would lip sync what these guys actually had said in real life. It's the most creative and interesting way to make a documentary, but he used like child actors like a child actor to pretend he was A-Rod, a child actor pretend he's the steroid doctor. It's hilarious.
I'll watch it.
That's it.
Oh.
So he has little kids in all the roles. So like he's got a little kid that plays the doctor, and it's like, how did you even think that's a little kid that plays A-Rod? And you're like, how did you think to do this?
Oh my God.
It's such a brilliant way of putting together a movie that is so unusual, but it makes it funny. And the story's so crazy. You're like, is this all true? And it is all true.
And a kid is telling you that it's true.
Yeah. So he did that, but he also did Cocaine Cowboys 1 and 2. And those are two of my all-time favorite documentaries.
I'll watch it.
You have to.
I'm down.
Now you must.
Okay.
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 Why are we arguing?
I don't know.
Jesus.
I have to go pee really bad.
Oh, do you? We should go pee.
I was going to bring a diaper because last time I had to go pee,
Don't
I
do
was
that.
like, maybe I'll just really commit to sitting.
You don't need to do that.
Okay, I'll be right
Go
back.
pee.
Don't
Jamie and I
don't talk badly about
We won't.
me. Okay, I'll
We
listen
won't.
back to the episode.
No, there's a fucking TV screen out there. You could listen to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you walk out,
It's a long walk.
all right,
to the
we can
bathroom.
talk shit the moment she shuts the door, and she'll have about 30 seconds where she won't be able to hear us. So what's going on, Jamie? Anything else new?
No, that movie was surprisingly good.
Yeah?
I would say. Like,
And that movie was delayed because of all the scandals with Johnny Depp and he apparently won't, according to Stanhope, Stanhope's buddies with him, he won't let this lawsuit
I
go.
would cynically say, yeah, sure, that's why it was put on the shelf. But like after watching the movie, you'd be like, man, I don't know. Maybe they didn't want the movie out because they're letting out all the details. But I mean, the book is out. I don't know.
Oh, you're going all cloak and dagger on me,
So,
Jamie.
hey, it's fun to go that way.
I understand. You do love to go cloak and dagger, though.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, so like they
One
have
day,
Biggie's
ladies and
mom.
gentlemen, Jamie will release a documentary. He's been working on a cloak and dagger case of utmost importance.
Yeah, I don't know about that important, but
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I would say it's clearly a bit of an obsession with you.
no, because I like
No, obsession's a bad word.
yeah, because I don't like look up information. I don't even try looking into it.
But obsession sounds negative. I shouldn't
Right.
say passion project.
Focus.
A focus.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
focus. Yeah.
I'll put it down for 3 or 4 months at a time. And
But you're the guy that I always, if you and I are talking about a story, you're always like, yeah, but maybe. You're the yeah, but maybe guy.
Well,
like,
especially after listening to that book, that War is a Racket. It's very quick. I
Yes.
listened to the audiobook in 45 minutes. It's a
Yeah.
50-page book.
yeah.
Hearing him talk about things from 100 years ago in the context of today, you're like, did he write this yesterday?
I know, it's nuts.
And he didn't know about X amount, like all the World War II, Vietnam, Korean War. All these wars didn't exist.
It's always been like that. I think that's, Nero burnt Rome, It's they've always done things to try to force people into wars and to force people to be compliant. I mean, Operation Northwoods in the 1960s, they were going to blow up jet airliners and blame it on the Cubans and force us into war with Cuba. That's, Hitler burned the Reichstag. They've always done things like this. People have always done sneaky shit in order to get people to do what they want them to do, in order to start military actions.
That
was quick.
It was very quick.
What are you, a bucket? You just open the bucket and dump it out?
Was it quick?
That was
Felt
crazy
long.
quick
It was
for
powerful.
a pee.
I started another one, which I'm a grain of salt. I almost put it down because I was like, this is a little bit much. It's from the 70s. None Dare Call a Conspiracy or something like that, I think is what it's called.
Oh, what
It's
is
written
that?
by someone from the government, like a congressman.
Mm.
Almost the same book written like 60 years later. A little bit longer, talking about how, the media doesn't talk about conspiracies because it's all a conspiracy. And
What
that
do you
kind of thing.
think they're going to write about this Jeffrey Epstein shit? You want to talk about one of the craziest conspiracies of our time? I mean, this one reads like a fucking movie. You got a guy who's supposedly a billionaire that is probably working for some intelligence agencies, maybe foreign intelligence agencies. He flies wealthy people, famous people, scientists, technological people. He flies them all to the island where they may or may not have fucked underage girls that they set up with cameras. So they filmed heads of state, billionaires, all these people on an island fucking underage girls, allegedly. They catch him. He goes to jail, but gets the most gentle slap on the wrist sentence ever. Journalists start trying to figure out why the fuck does he get this little slap on the wrist sentence. This goes on for years, and finally, from people writing stories about it, they arrest him again. This time, he's going down. And when people realize he's going down, they kill him in jail. And then there's stories about all these different hedge fund people that give him millions of dollars. Some guy gave him a fucking house in Manhattan worth $60 million. All these different people are involved in it. Bill Gates had visited with him, and after he'd gotten arrested the first time, had been involved with him. All these different people have done things with him. All these different people have been to parties at his house. All these different people. It's fucking wild. And then the guy gets murdered in jail when he's about to testify. And all the cameras are broken.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he killed himself. Sorry, he killed himself.
What happened? What's going on with Ghislaine?
She's for sure going to sing if they let her. But who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, once they killed Jeffrey Epstein in jail and then pretended that he killed himself, which is kind of hilarious. Hilarious how the cameras were broken. I mean, it really is like a scene in a movie, right? Oh, the cameras are broken. Didn't work. How did he kill himself? Well, I guess he just hung himself or something.
Do you think everyone who is in like the guest book or whatever who flew there was involved, or do you think some of the trips were innocent?
I think for sure some people were probably innocent.
Yeah.
Some people were probably coerced into doing something. They were probably compromised. You know, especially you get like these nerd scientists, and you get them around hot girls. I mean, they're probably like, probably can't believe these girls are even talking to them, even if they don't do anything with them. They're taking pictures with them. These girls are hugging them, and they want to go back again. And they're getting free food and a free plane ride, and then they're getting grants, right? So they're getting money to do these things. I was talking to a scientist about it, and he goes, it wasn't even a lot of money. He goes, it'd give him like, $1 million for this thing, $1 million to that thing, to this guy that's supposed to be worth $1 billion. For him, it's probably a pretty easy investment to get close to these people and to bring them to these parties and take photos with them, always taking photos of people. It's dark, because if you want to believe the people that were told to give him a slap on the wrist the first time, what they had said was that he was above their pay grade and that he was someone that was protected. He was intelligence. That's what was the one guy who had a quote about it? Remember that? We talked about it? The guy that said that I was told that he was intelligence.
That's basically the quote, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've discovered. I'm looking up information on Ghislaine, and there's a new website that's popped up today.
Whoa.
Run by her family called realghislaine.com.
TheRealGhislaine.com?
I guess they're trying to like battle those smears the media has painted about her.
Okay, but how do they know? One-dimensional character.
Like there's
they've known the real Ghislaine all her life, not the fictional one-dimensional character created by the media.
It says this website was popped up to counter some toilet flushing smears about her, where she's not flushing her toilet or something like that at her gender jail. So
she decided that's how she's going to protest, by not flushing?
That's part. I mean, maybe that the media is putting that out about her, so it makes her.
They probably broke her toilet, and then they're like, "This dirty bitch doesn't even flush her toilet. Look, it doesn't work." Probably took the plunger out, the whole thing.
I love that they're outraged about the toilet comment, but her being, an apprentice to sex trafficking, they're like, we can let that slide, but if she's clogging the toilets, we need to clear her name.
If they have the kind of power and the kind of influence that you would imagine they have, because you have all these people that are on that fly list.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton flew, I think, 28 times. Which is kind of crazy. I mean, have you ever flown with your mom 28 times?
No. It's like they say, if you go to the barber shop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. You keep hanging around the barber shop, what do you know? You have a buzz cut.
We had a nice plane.
There was that weird public troll they did, too, with her when everyone was looking for her. And then they're like, yeah, she was at In-N-Out in the Valley.
And she had a book about people in the CIA that are killed.
What was that about?
Yeah. What was the title of the book again?
It was just about CIA agents that had gotten. I don't remember the title of the book. I tried to find it again.
At In-N-Out, staring right at the camera, like clearly aware someone was photographing her.
So creepy.
It's wild shit. And then they find her in a cabin in New Hampshire. Like, what is this, a Tom Clancy book? Like, what is this?
It's so weird, like, what is going on at this moment that we just have no idea about?
Well,
there's got to be, like, young Epsteins out there who...
Maybe. But this is, like, it's bigger than that because, like, he got all these celebrities to come and hang with him. Like, the people on the list that flew with him, it's pretty substantial.
It's probably to even out the guest book, make it look a little more normal.
No, I think it's to make it more attractive to all these other people. I feel like he probably had an interest in science, legitimately. But then on top of that, like, you can learn a lot about things if you compromise scientists. I mean, you get the most intelligent people in the world, and you compromise them, and you have access to all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But it's just so wild. It reads like a movie, and you realize, like, oh my God, maybe Alex Jones is right. It reads like a fucking movie.
There's two other things. There's a story today that was on 60 Minutes yesterday about putting a microchip under your skin to test for COVID.
Hey,
it's not an injection. I don't want to freak you out like that, but I looked it up myself. It's there.
So it's a test. And what is it, attached to an app?
That part I don't understand. It just says, like, it will allow the user to know that you need to go get a rapid blood test. I'm like, how is it telling you that? A buzz?
Just imagine if COVID was way more deadly. What if it killed like 15% of the people who got it or 20% of the people who got it? We would be living in China. We'd basically be living in communist China. I mean, we would give up all of our rights for safety. We'd be fucked.
And there's the little thing up there.
Scroll back up to the title, please.
It doesn't say it in the title.
Military programs aiming to end pandemics forever. Bill Whitaker reports on Pentagon products that help combat COVID-19, help end pandemics forever. And these are
vial is the little thing.
Microchips. And they'll put that microchip inside you, and that'll stop the pandemic, Allie. Because then when we know you have it, we'll come and get you and lock you up in a jail.
Yeah.
And give you jail food.
Did you see the movie Kingsman, The Secret Service?
No.
Oh,
That's the people shooting people and stabbing people and doing karate.
Yeah, but pretty much they like...
Right?
Yeah.
Did you see it, Jamie?
They're like super James Bonds, right? But they're kids, right?
No, not kids. It's in England.
Oh. I get turned off by just watching them throw knives at each other and shit. Didn't they do a bunch of things like that?
Yeah, but there's a little more to it. There's a little more to it.
Samuel Jackson's in it.
Samuel L. Jackson, yeah. He's like this kind of like corrupt dude who everyone thinks is like a good guy because he created, I don't know, he's like a celebrity and then he creates this SIM card for your phone. He's like, I'm giving away free SIM cards. Everyone can put it in their phone. That way, the non-wealthy people can have access to phone usage, whatever. So everyone's lining up to get these SIM cards in their phone. And then he has this control and this power in the SIM cards. When the sound goes off, everyone goes crazy and starts to kill each other.
No.
And I watched that movie right before getting the vaccine, and I was like, is this my SIM card?
There's so many people that think that Bill Gates is trying to put microchips in people.
Yeah.
That's what this article says. It's like, don't worry, conspiracy heads. Bill Gates is not trying to put a microchip in.
So is Bill Gates. Bill Gates owns more farmland than anybody else on Earth.
Is that true?
Yep. He owns more American farmland than anybody else on Earth. He owns all of it. He just keeps buying up farmland.
Bill Gates to table.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Makes me very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
He's just... I don't trust a guy who dances the way he dances. Can't trust him.
Yeah.
You ever seen him dance?
No, but he's like an old white guy. It'd be weird if you saw him like pop lock and drop it.
Some old white guys got a little bit of swagger.
A little shoulder.
They got
the shoulder.
Hey, they get into it. You can tell they danced when they were younger a little bit. Maybe now they got a bad back, but they're giving it their all.
He never got invited to any dances.
Jamie, pull up Bill Gates dancing.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking, he's only 49th on the list.
Is Bill Gates on TikTok?
I thought you were about to say he's only 49.
No.
I was like, oh my God. 49th on the list of what?
Landowners.
Oh.
Size-wise. Yeah, that's what it says.
In the United States?
Uh-huh.
No, not landowners. Farmland.
Yeah.
No. Why did they say he's become the #1 farmland owner in the country? There was an article about it just 2 days ago.
No, article from 3 days ago. Bill Gates buys a big farm on buys big on farmland shopping spree, and then says Ted Turner is ranked 3rd, Jeff Bezos is 25th, and Gates is in the 49th spot, but rising.
Oh, that's weird. Well, why don't you Google Bill Gates number one farmland owner in America? Because there was an article about it just a couple of days ago. That's so weird that it's 49th, and Bezos actually owns more than he does?
I mean...
And this is farmland?
Farmland.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Huh.
This is as of January land reports. I mean, I don't know if they would have an
private
more
farmland.
updated.
The U.S. assets totaling more than one of the largest, but not really, because there's 49 people or 48 people ahead of him. He owns 242,000 acres of American farmlands.
Mainly in
the
West
largest
Texas.
holdings. Hold on, scroll up a little bit. Scroll up. Largest holdings in Louisiana, 69,071 acres. Arkansas, 47,000. And Arizona, 25,750. Huh.
Not Ohio land.
Wonder why someone wrote an incorrect article.
Because it gets clicks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, folks, there's a bunch of but there's always going to be that, right? Like
this does say New York Post. This says he's now the biggest farmland owner. So
yeah. So what does that mean?
I don't know.
Fucking New York Post? How are they getting it wrong like that? Yeah, that's what I think. That's not what I read. That's not the article I read, but it was a similar article somewhere else, I believe. Huh.
Weird.
Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft, has an alter ego. Is this James O'Keefe?
No, it's a different.
Who's O'Keefe?
Eric O'Keefe.
Eric O'Keefe. He's got an scroll back up again a little. It says he has an alter ego. Farmer Bill, the guy who owns more farmland than anyone else in America.
Yeah, I don't know why it says that.
The Lamb Report scoop made headlines. Gates' longstanding interest in climate change sustainability. It's just odd. It's odd when someone's a super billionaire and they're just like owning up all the farmland and trying to vaccinate everybody.
Yeah. And with farmland, it's like all the food.
Or what are you doing?
Yeah.
You gonna force everybody to eat your farmland burgers? Like, when are you gonna make some weird food?
Do you have like a garden at your place? Do
no,
you have your own?
I should though.
Yeah.
Should get a greenhouse.
You should get a goat.
I don't like goats.
Okay.
I mean, I don't hate them.
But they're not.
But I don't
your
have
favorite.
a thing like you do with goats.
Do you have like a weird animal that you really love?
There's a ringtail cat in my neighborhood.
What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
A ringtail cat.
Yeah. We caught it on security camera. It's really adorable. This is what they look like.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah, that little guy.
How did you know it was a ringtail cat?
Well, someone who works for me recognized it, and then we started Googling it. And that's the little guy who, or that's the kind of little guy or little girl is in our neighborhood.
Are
Isn't
they
that
friendly
cute?
or will they like...
They'll kill you. They'll bite your
Oh.
face off.
Cool.
They'll fuck you up and give you rabies. Look at it.
Oh,
Looks
it's
like a rat.
so cute. It kind of looks like an opossum. I love possums.
A much larger rat with a super cool tail.
It's so cute.
It is adorable, right? It's like
really
a cat
sweet.
fucked a raccoon, or a raccoon fucked a cat. I
What
think
are-
the cat would do the cat would be the bottom, right? In a raccoon cat confrontation.
I don't know. Cats can be pretty
wild.
dominant and
Yeah.
top energy.
But raccoons are so much bigger, and
Yeah.
they have hands. They
Yeah.
can hold the cat.
But cats will like sass them into being bottom. Cats will be like, "Get down, bitch."
But raccoons kill dogs. Didn't you see Old Yeller?
Oh.
You didn't see Old Yeller?
Mm-mm.
Did you ever see Old Yeller?
When I was probably 2, 3.
Yeah. I think a raccoon killed the dog, right? Isn't
I
that what
thought-
happened?
What
I
with the
thought one
gun?
of the parents
There's some with
shoots
the gun.
dog.
Oh,
Talk
no,
about a
no,
spoiler
no.
alert.
Wasn't it that I did spoil? Wasn't it that the raccoon had rabies and he infected the dog, and then the parents had to kill the dog? Some old school country type deal.
Or do you
that.
like westerns? Like on...
I like Unforgiven. That's one of my favorite westerns.
Is that a movie or a TV show?
Oh my God! How dare you? Who are you?
I don't know. I'm figuring it out.
He was
Clint
bitten by
Eastwood.
a rabid wolf in the book.
A rabid wolf.
Book.
In the movie, wasn't it a raccoon though?
It's just said the book.
Oh.
Sorry.
You are a little fiend
Oh,
with that
I know.
vape pen. You can't stop.
No.
That shit's so bad for your lungs.
I stopped at the beginning of the pandemic at my
you
mom's
started
house.
up again today before the show.
Mm-hmm. I stopped for like 2 months and then I was back on.
Why'd you get back on it?
'Cause I like it.
Oh, okay. The Unforgiven is one of the greatest westerns, if not the greatest
So it's a
western of all
movie.
time. It's Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood. Who's the sheriff?
Bless you.
Thank you. I'm trying to hold that one in. Gene Hackman. And I forget who else is in it, but fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's like a realistic western. And it's basically Clint Eastwood did all those spaghetti westerns. They were all great. All those western movies, you know, Outlaw Josie Wales, all that kind of shit. But this is like realism. It's even like the heroics are not that heroic. So many people are cowards. The people that are evil, the way they're evil is believable. It's an amazing movie, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen it in a decade.
Yeah.
But I remember loving it going. It was almost like Clint Eastwood, as he got older and became, you know, a more respected actor and also then became a director, had decided, you know what, I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to make a movie that's a realistic Western. It's my favorite Western.
Yeah.
It's a fucking great movie. And it's about a guy in, spoiler alert, who used to be a killer. And he settles down to become a farmer. And then along the way, circumstances and things happen. And he has to go back into his old skills. And it's a dark movie. It's heavy. Very
I like
heavy
heavy
movie.
movies.
It's a heavy movie. But it also makes you realize, like, my God, living back then must have been so hard. And it's not that long ago. You know, you're talking about 1850, 1840. That's not that long ago. That's fucking really recent.
Yeah.
A couple hundred years ain't shit. But a couple hundred years ago, life was awful. It was just awful.
And that's the thing with now. I feel like you have to take a moment to be just like, as bad as you can make things out to be, it's like, well, just take it for what it is. Because who knows if it's going to get worse or better.
Well, you know what the problem is? As bad as it is today, for a lot of people, is the worst they've ever had it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Now, if you talk to someone who grew up in a third world country, if you talk to someone who grew up in extreme poverty or in a war zone, their idea of this would be nothing. Like, I had a friend, my friend Shuki, he was my kickboxing coach back in the day, and he was from Israel. You're sucking on that thing again. You can't even help yourself.
I'll put him away.
No, you don't have to. I'm just giving you a hard time. My friend Shuki was from Israel, and he was always happy. Always happy. I remember I had dinner over his house, and he was playing the bongos, and his wife was dancing, his kids dancing. Like, everyone's dancing. I was like, you guys are so happy. Like, why so happy? He goes, man, living in Israel, he goes, it's like you never know, like, when you're going to die. He goes, like, it was just like there's always craziness. So, like, every day that you're alive is party, party, party. That's how he thought about it. He was like a real live Zohan.
Yeah.
You know? That's what he's like.
I went to Israel and I was there for like maybe a month, and it was so crazy. It was just like such a reality shift where you go to a mall and there's armed guards standing outside, and then there was like an incident where 2 Israeli kids had been like kidnapped or something, and so everyone was on edge, and there were bombs when you're there and you just like don't even realize it.
No.
It would be a very different way of growing up.
He went back there.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he was living in Tarzana for a while. He was running Majiro Gym, a kickboxing gym in Tarzana. And he's like, yeah, going back to Israel. He's there now.
You think he's still playing the bongos?
Oh, yeah, he is, 100%. I'll find you his Instagram. He's a great guy. But he's got this sort of unique perspective because of, you know, growing up and living in Israel. It's just like things are just different there. It's just he's experienced a lot of like shit that makes you, let me find it. Shuki Ron Muay Thai. So I'll send it to you, Jamie. Hold on a second here. Share. Copy profile. It's just that life, the life that he lived in Israel, and just living in a place that's so ridden with conflict forever, right? From the beginning of Israel in the 1940s, it's just and even before then, right? Before, it was just constant conflict. And so their ideas, when you're alive and everything's okay, it's like fucking party. And so they're playing bongos and dancing and count as private.
Wah, wah, wah.
Shit.
He's gonna probably have a lot of requests after this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, well, I can't get it to you somehow. What can I do?
If we had an Apple TV, you could at least show it on the
Yeah, I can't.
Can't.
But here's him hitting the double-ended bag.
Oh, he's fit.
Oh, yeah, he's in his 60s now, too.
Damn.
He's in great shape. He's a great guy, though. Now he's going to get swamped. But we are soft. And it's not bad that we're soft. I think it would be great if we never had to be hard. But the problem is adversity for a lot of people today is overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And the overwhelming adversity of the past year has broken a lot of people. There's a lot of people that I can't talk to anymore because the way they handled COVID and the way they would scream at people on Twitter and the way they would act in real life, I'm like, bro, like, you got to get your shit together.
I know, it's hard to see it because I feel like it brought out so many like neuroses in people that was kind of always there, but this like really brought it to the forefront, and it's hard to see them have such a, mentally difficult response to it.
Yeah, it is.
It's just eating away at them.
Yeah. It's a test. This last year has been a test for a lot of folks. Some people have come through it really well. Some people have had good times and bad times, and other people have just fallen apart and becoming incredibly neurotic.
Yeah.
And you just realize like how many people have zero capacity for adversity. They don't have any. They've never played sports. They never had hard times. They don't know what the fuck to do.
Is that him?
Oh, that's Shuki. Yeah.
Shuki.
He's out there.
It was on.
I found it on YouTube.
Oh, that's 2015. I think he was still here. I think that was it when he was in America. I think. But I trained with him way back in the day. I trained with him like 2001.
It says he's a fight choreographer for a kickboxing movie.
Oh, yeah? Oh, he did a lot of things. He trained a lot of fighters, too. He trained Stan the Man Longinidis back in the day. He's just a great guy.
What would your nickname be if you were like a... Don't some people have nicknames?
Smokin' Joe, probably.
Smokin' Joe?
LOL.
Smokin' Joe.
I would steal it from Joe Frazier. Respect to Joe. I don't know. I don't think I'd have a nickname. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Could
be fun, though.
There's some good nicknames, and there's like a lot of fighters in MMA have, there's too many nicknames. Like they try too hard.
They're like really wanting the nickname to catch on.
Well, it's just like sometimes if you don't have a nickname, just accept it.
Has it been weird going to like the UFC events without the audiences and stuff?
No, it's been awesome.
You like it better?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I don't like it better because audiences are awesome too, but it's a different experience. Like you feel really lucky. Like when I was at the Stipe Miocic Francis Ngannou fight, which was a couple of weeks ago, that was weird because they started to let a lot of celebrities in there. Like Travis Barker was there, Megan Fox was there, Machine Gun Kelly, all these
Kourtney
famous,
Kardashian.
She was there. She was there with Travis.
I know.
They're a thing.
I know. It's so juicy. I've been keeping up.
So juicy. And there was a lot, YouTube stars, but there was an actual crowd this time. There's probably like 150 people.
Wow.
Whereas usually it's been like, it started off, it was like real strict, like 20 people and that's it. But this last one, there's quite a few people at the Apex Center. And then the next one, which is not this upcoming weekend, but the next weekend, is in Florida with a full house in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, packed.
Are you going to be there?
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's an awesome card, but it's going to be wild to be just...
That energy is crazy.
Yeah, and then there's another one in May in Houston that I'm doing that's also full crowd.
Hometown.
Yeah.
Hometown advantage.
Close. Yeah, and I'm doing a theater in Houston, too.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Or if...
Want to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to do it with me?
Yes.
Okay. You, me, and the Golden Pony.
Stop.
Yes,
stop. I want to cry.
Yay.
Ah!
You had the fucking craziest ascent into arenas of all time.
It freaks me out thinking about it. Like, if I think about it too long, I'm like, this is a simulation.
It was kind of a stupid thing for me to even ask you to do.
It was very stupid.
I just gave you so much pressure, but you handled it so well. I feel like your set tell everybody what happened. Allie we had done shows because I'd seen her do The Store and I'd seen you do Kill Tony.
I have a question.
Okay.
So I remember the first time you asked me to do guest spots at the Ice House.
I asked you to host, I think.
You asked me to. No, I think I was just doing a guest spot.
First time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think you just wanted to see how I would do on a show. Yeah.
Yeah, a real show.
So
packed house.
I never know. Was Tony like, you have to see this girl, or was it just from seeing me on Kill Tony?
Well, I'm always looking for people that I think have talent.
Yeah.
Always. And I've got a pretty good record. You know, if you look at all the people that I've, like Duncan and Diaz and Ari and Segura, like all the guys that I started taking on the road with me, like I have a good eye for like when you don't know if someone's going to make it, right? You really don't. But you know if someone can make it. And the difference is like, do you make me laugh? Are you funny? Do I see you've got something? And the difference between someone who's got something and someone who's selling out a comedy club every weekend is just time and focus and sometimes a little boost. Like someone else coming along going, I think you're good. You make me laugh. You could do this. And that happened to me when I was coming up. People did that for me. I never forget Lenny Clark, who did that for me when I was like a year into comedy. I opened for him, and he gave me this huge... he complimented, kid, you're fucking hilarious, and all big giant Irish guy with crazy accent, Boston accent, and it was just it meant so much to me. I'm like, I'm gonna help every comic I can when I can. Yeah. So whenever I see someone that's good, I've always been like, you can do this. I was taking, like, I just did it the other day to some lady that was doing a show at Vulcan. I was like, just keep going. You're good. You're funny. You make me laugh. It's the difference between being someone who's funny, who's been doing it a year, and someone's funny that is headlining and killing it on the road and's got a Netflix special. It's just time. Yeah. It's all it is. And I know you want to do it. So just keep putting that fucking time in, and you can do it. And then you got to be around people like, other, like Tim Dillon and Santino and all these other comics that are also doing it. And then you're in. You're one of us. And then next thing you know, you're killing it. So I had seen you perform a couple of times on Kill Tony. I thought you were really funny, and Tony said, yeah, she's hilarious. And then I saw some other sets, and I'm like, I need to see a set of hers in front of a regular crowd. Yeah. Not like a crowd that's there to see an open mic night, but a crowd that's there to see me and my friends. So then I said, come do some shows at the Improv. We did a few of those, at the Comedy Store. I wanted to test you in a bunch of different ones. And then I remember it was like, you were saying that you were going to be in Vegas. You wanted to know if you could get tickets to the fights. And I said, No. Yeah, you said you were going to be in Vegas.
I said I wanted to see you at a theater and you're going to be in Vegas, so I was going to drive out.
Yeah, no, you also said you wanted to see the fights. I know we were talking about a UFC, and you said, do you think I can get tickets to that? And I said, sure. And then we talked about the show. I said, do you want to go up on the show?
And then I was
like, could I? Because you had only done...
you took that photo, Jamie.
That's you about to go on stage.
And there was an earthquake right before.
Okay, that's hilarious. So
that day.
That's right, there was,
in Vegas.
So you killed. You went up there, loose as a goose. You had a great, you were focused, but you can tell you had all this energy because you knew, like, holy shit. And then, so you went from doing the Improv, which is, a couple hundred seats, the main room at the Comedy Store, a little bit more than that. And then all of a sudden, you're in front of 1,300 people. And so you get off stage. He did great. And I said, okay, do you want to do an arena?
Well, first of all, I open in front of 1,300 people, which is obviously the biggest show I've ever done. And I'm freaking out because my set was good. You liked it. And I was like, okay, like, that was so great. How fun. I get to go to the UFC. Also, Aerosmith is there. Fucking Steven Tyler.
You hung out with Steven Tyler.
He's like, you have the thickest eyebrows I've ever seen. That's badass. I was like, thank you. And then
How nice is he?
he's so nice.
He's so nice.
Oh, I loved him. And then we go out to dinner, and that was Bruce Buffer is there.
Yeah.
It was just so surreal. And then you just said to me at dinner, you're like, I want to do an arena. And I was like shaking like a chihuahua. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
You killed.
That was, yeah.
You fucking killed. You really did. That was Portland, right?
In Portland,
Yeah.
the Moda Center.
That was, I think, at least 11,000 people. I forget how many. It is a big-ass fucking place, though.
And there's no preparation for something like that.
Just
I mean,
no one
obviously,
can prepare you. And you were in the round, too, which is always weird.
it was weird. I was so out of breath when I got on stage because I'm running up. I'm like, it takes so long to get on stage after you say my name.
And
then
you gotta go through all those people, too. You gotta go through the masses to get to the stage.
It was the coolest thing ever.
It's a wild way to do it, but you only get to do that once. Like, there's no time in your life where you get to go from going to a club to going on stage in front of 1,300 people to going on stage in front of whatever it was, 11,000 people. Like, that only happens once, where you get a chance to do that for the first time. So a first time like that is only once. So it was cool that I got to be the person that brought you to the dance.
Yeah.
Because you handled it. And you went up there, fucking, I remember we were backstage going, she's fucking doing it. She's killing it. You were killing it. You were tight, but you were smiling and having fun up there, and it worked. You got the crowd going. You got everybody warmed up. You know, it was fucking great. It was great.
It was so fun.
I was really proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, because it's like I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, it's like there's so many highs and lows, and so it's just great to remember, like, Joe's not going to bring someone to do that who sucks.
No, I knew you were good.
You know, like, I'll have bad sets, and it's like that's all part of it, you know, growing and building and getting better. And the bad sets, they hurt. They feel bad, and it can hurt your confidence. But then you have to remember, like, it's not always, you're going to grow from this. And
yeah. It's just,
it's a trip.
Look, I wouldn't have, if I'd been doing comedy as long as you, I would have shit my pants.
I'm shitting right now.
I would not have been able to do it. I would have panicked. I would have had a panic attack.
Oh, I was panicking, all right.
But you did it. You pulled it off. I knew. I kind of knew. I mean, I hoped, but I knew. I knew you were good. When I saw you go up in Vegas, and who did we do Vegas with?
We did it with Ian Edwards.
That's right. I remember I told Ian I'm going to bring you to the theater or to the arena.
You did?
Yeah. And he was like, what? And I was like, I think she can handle it.
And then I got to go to the UFC.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you could handle it too. Because I knew you could. Like, I knew if you can just do what you just did in front of 1,300 people, you could do it in front of 10,000 or 11,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I knew you could do it.
Imagine if I bombed.
Would have been rough. But I would have said, dude, you're only going to get a chance to bomb one time like that in front of an arena when you really shouldn't have been doing it yet.
Yeah.
You would have been fine.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't.
No.
I would have been
you fucking
hurting
killed.
for a while.
You killed. You did the right thing, too. You started off, like, fun and loose. And I was like, look at her, like a fish to water. You just took right to it. It's perfect.
I mean, that's the thing. When you ask me how I got into stand-up, it's like I've just always wanted to make people laugh. And so when a set goes well and you're able to make a lot of people laugh, nothing feels better. It's like I'm fulfilling my life's purpose. And if a set goes bad, I'm like, oof, 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 oof.
And there's those moments, too, where like something like that will happen. They can give you a giant boost. You know, you could do open mics around town and you can grind, and that's great for you. There's nothing bad about grinding. There's nothing bad about doing guest sets whenever you can, you know, but there's something about when a thing happens where all of a sudden you have this new kind of experience. And the kind of experience, like I didn't do arenas until I did arenas.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do an arena until I was like 25 years into comedy. You know?
And that's the scary thing is like as cool as it is and being as somewhat new or into stand up, you know, it's scary to say I've done an arena, but like I'm still really working hard on like headlining. Like this is all still new to me. Like I did an arena before I even headlined, and it's like, you know, I hope people don't think that because I've had these cool experiences that I'm like a.
Well, you're still out there grinding. I think that's very important. Like you have to have a varied diet. Like doing those big shows is great, but you also got to do these little shitty shows. Like you have to do shows where you like when you get those spots at the store at like 12:30 and there's 15 people in the audience. Like the first time I saw Laura. The first time I saw Laura, she was on stage. Bert and I had come from the main room. We had a couple drinks in the back bar, and they were walking by the OR. And we said, let's just go see who's on stage. And Bert and I sat in the back, and Laura fucking killed. Yeah. She killed. And she was loose, and she was just fun. And I wrote about it on my Instagram, and I was like, that girl's a fucking killer.
Yeah, she's
a killer. She's a machine. She's just fucking funny. And it's like, that's where comedy comes alive. It comes alive in all these different venues. In a big crowd where you get a packed spot in the main room, or a little shitty show where it's like, you know, there's 13 people left in the audience, and you go up and you catch a vibe. You hit the wave and you ride it.
And they're all like just as important.
All just as important.
Like doing the 13 audience member room in the 10,000 person arena, like both like you can learn from any set that you have, and no set is necessarily better than the other, but I'll tell you, an arena feels good.
How many arenas did you do with me?
I think like 5 or 4. It's the craziest thing.
It's the craziest thing. It is crazy. It's so wild.
I know.
It really is.
But I'm so grateful because it's so cool to not just to do the arena, but to see someone like you who takes someone like me who had only been doing stand-up at that time for like 4 5 years, to see the way that you treat me and your feature act and the things that we get to do. It's like that's so fun to witness, because I want to one day have my own arena shows. Like that's my dream, is to be able to be in that position to, like, you know, fly someone out first class for the first time, and like, you know, get a big steak before the show or after the show, and like, you know, all of those things that's just so special about comedy, because like we get it, we're all doing the same thing. And yeah,
you get a chance to do that when you're the person who calls the shots.
Yeah.
You get a chance to bring everybody with you and say, we're all the same.
Yeah.
The only difference is just one person, more people know them. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But we're all doing the same thing. We're all doing stand-up, you know? And that's what I said to this lady the other night at Vulcan. I was like, we're all the same. The only difference between you and me is I've been doing it 33 years.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it a year.
Did you ever think your stand-up would be at the place where it's at when you started, in terms of, not in terms of like success, but in terms of like material? No, it was terrible. I thought it was always going to be terrible. That's how I feel right now.
When I mean, comedy is like, it's a build, right? Like you're building a mountain out of layers of paint, and every day you're slapping more paint on that mountain, and it just keeps stacking and stacking, and then one day you're killing.
Do you feel like there was a turning point? Like, do you remember a time where you were like, oh, this is my groove, this is my voice, this is like my material, and like how I tell jokes?
Well, it keeps evolving, right? It keeps getting hopefully better if you keep paying attention to it. But I think around 10 years in is around I really kind of caught my wave. And so right around 2000-ish, 99, 2000, that's when I really started to figure out who I was. But then also, I got real distracted back then, too, because I was doing Fear Factor. So I was working in the 2000s. I was working a lot only in L.A. because I was so worn out.
Yeah.
I was so cooked because I was doing stand-up and I was doing Fear Factor constantly, and then Doug and I did the Man Show for a couple of years in there too, and I was not saying no to anything. I was saying yes to every fucking show that came along, so I was fried.
But I feel like also that experience, Fear Factor and everything from that, probably, even if you weren't doing stand-up as much, like allowed you to figure out yourself in a different way outside of stand-up.
Yeah.
And bring it back into that.
Yeah, you know what it did? It gave me fuck you money. That's what it did. That was one of the best things about Fear Factor is it gave me financial freedom. So I was like, okay, let me put that money aside. So if I just live like a normal person, I don't ever have to work again. So let me just set that aside. And then let me just not think like I have to preserve myself and instead think, what do I really think? What am I really trying to do? Like let me figure out how to do comedy that I like. And then also realize that as great a job as Fear Factor was, it was great to have that kind of an opportunity
I
and
love
to make
that
money.
show.
But at the end of the day, I realized I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to have the money and it's great to have the freedom. And that freedom is very valuable because the freedom to not worry about, not make decisions based on money and to not protect, you know, like worry about what you say. I don't want to piss people off and not get a gig or not get a this. That was giant. And then I really started focusing once that was off. Then I really started focusing on stand-up.
Have they ever tried to do, like, hit you up for Fear Factor reboots or anything
We did
that?
a Fear Factor reboot for a little bit in 2011, and it was a tremendous mistake. I shouldn't have done it. But it got canceled because we made people drink cum.
A lot of people do that, not on TV.
Not that much, though.
Oh, it was a large quantities.
Donkey cum. It was like about the size of this pitcher. And it got out on TMZ. They found out that we had these people drink
I think
cum.
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, and then it got canceled.
Damn.
So I got saved by donkey cum.
Yeah, thank God for donkeys.
Because I was like, but I was worried they were going to kill people. Because the stunts, they ramped up. They made them much bigger, much crazier. And it was just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like they were going a little too far. And like a lot of stunt people, they're wild folks.
Like the people who test the stunts before
Well,
they go on air.
The people that created them and test them.
Yeah.
But you got to realize, like people that are in the stunt business that do that for a living, they're fucking wild people. They're like, they take risks, you know, like they're hardy, crazy people. And when you tell them, let's ramp this up, they're like, fuck yeah,
sounds good.
Let's ramp it up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there were some moments where I was like, I think we're going a little too far here, folks. You know.
Yeah.
But we got away with it.
I wish I could have done it.
I'm glad you didn't.
I want to eat worms or something.
Why?
I don't know. I just want to see like when I'm put in that position what I'm capable of. It's kind of like I want to get into like a fight, but I'm afraid of fighting. But like I want like an altercation at a bar where I can just see like in my natural element how good of a fighter I would be. I think probably not good.
Way easier to eat worms than to get in a fight.
Yeah, I'd rather eat the worms.
You can just eat worms, you know.
You got any worms?
We could film
it. I'm outside.
We could do it for YouTube. No, you don't want to listen.
Bring some worms in here.
When we would feed people worms, we'd put them on a very specific diet for a long period of time. Like the bugs, they had to eat like certain foods, so they weren't eating trash. They weren't bugs that had diseases.
Oh,
they were
yeah.
bugs that had been raised.
Vegan bugs.
They'd give them specific foods to sort of cleanse their system out.
Keto cockroaches.
Yeah, that's something along those lines. All right, dude, we got to wrap this bitch up.
All right.
I got to get out of here.
I got a meat tour after this.
When is your when are your shows? Tell people.
You can go to AllieMacofsky.com/shows. I think next I'm going to Washington, D.C., and then I'm going to Chicago.
So you finished your Texas run?
Yeah, Texas is over. I'm here for a week just hanging out and jumping on other people's shows.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to take you to the club and show you what we're doing. All right. Allie Macofsky, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, my friend. Bye, everybody.